Welcome everyone to the Guild Wars 2 podcast, the LightBringers. And if you're not excited after that trailer, then I don't know what's going to get you more excited. We have an amazing set of guests today as well. It's episode 20. I'm super excited to be here to talk about the preview event that we just had. You're going to be able to hear their voices very shortly. But yes, if you just joined the channel, if you're here watching or listening anywhere on the internet, we did just show the trailer for Guild Wars 2 for End of Dragons. So if you're audio, or if you're listening to that on Spotify or whatever, you will not have seen that, but you can go watch it. I'll put a link in the description. It's fine. But this is the 20th episode, and we have an amazing set of guests. As I said before, hello everyone. How are you? Everyone can hear you now. Hello.
Hi.
Greetings. What's up, guys?
Excellent.
Hello, everyone.
That's good.
Hello.
Hello.
We're just testing to make sure everyone can hear everyone's voice. It's wonderful. Okay, so first of all, I want to welcome back a very good friend of mine that I've known, especially in Guild Wars 2, because of Guild Wars 2 as well. Aurora Peachy is back for the 20th episode. Was on the very first one as well. It's awesome to see you. How are you doing?
Was I?
You were.
I'm doing awesome. So I was on the 1st and the 20th. Congrats on the 20th show.
Yeah. What a day to have the 20th. What a topic to have for the 20th show as well. Pretty awesome. No. All the things in chat, stop it. Aurora Peachy, tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do, where you do it, where we can see you, what times we can see you on the Twitch, on the YouTube, and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm on Twitch, YouTube, all the everywhere on the internet. Aurora Peachy. No underscores. I see you, Obi. No underscores.
No underscores.
They're gone at last. The great evil is defeated.
The great evil has been defeated.
Is it all in one word?
All one word,
Okay.
Aurora Peachy. Everywhere.
Everywhere.
That
even,
must be so
socials.
satisfying.
even on this podcast, as of just now.
Oh my god. You did not have an underscore in there. I didn't see.
I didn't have an underscore. There was just a space.
You just closed the gap.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Excellent.
I closed the gap.
Thank
I'm sorry.
you.
I did realize.
Much
I did know that.
appreciated.
It was just me. My bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, bro, how unprofessional.
Wow.
I know. It's been a
Didn't
day.
It was a really,
ask.
I know, really
no.
exciting 20th episode, but it has to end now because we all have to riot. So
We gotta go. We gotta wrap this up. I got places to be.
It's all right. I've already had a day. I'm good. Please go and follow Aurora Peachy everywhere. All
Everywhere.
the
Guild
things.
Wars 2 Tuesdays are back.
Ah, there you go. Back on Guild
Tune
Wars 2 on
into
Tuesdays.
Twitch.
Nice. Yeah, because you do the
Yay.
Peachy Party stuff. You do checking out the patches, the new stuff
I
that's
have
coming in.
been covering this game for like 6 years. I'm an old lady, and you know what? It's been fun.
Awesome.
Like I said, I met Drebro
Paving the way.
through Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, we're both old now. We're both old together.
That's right.
Croof, you're back.
We're all a little bit older.
You're wearing a hat as well. There's loads of stuff going on. Tell us about what's going on everywhere and also what you do, where you do it.
Everywhere. I'm not in any other country other than the United States, so I don't know if I can do that. But I know what's going on with my face right now. So everyone in chat, you might have maybe garnered some nice viewage, but I've been inspired by the Elite Specialization teaser for Necromancer. So I thought we might as well try this. And I have the hat, and we got some Mardi Gras beads. I sadly do not have a feather, but you know what? Don't dock me points too much. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be back. I'm Kroof. I do a lot of YouTube stuff over on my YouTube channel where you can just type in Kroof. And I'm now streaming on Twitch Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And just overall having a nice kiki, you know, living life, enjoying. And once again, I'm super, super thankful to be invited back. So thank you so, so much, Jebro.
You're welcome. And you look great as well. If you want to check out the VOD, do it. It's definitely worth doing. It's always worth seeing our reactions and faces and hats as well. Bird of Chess has
Big
returned.
hat.
Yes, big, massive hats. Bird of Chess has returned. Bird of Chess had an amazing special role as well. Just round of applause for Bird of Chess as well for doing a fantastic job on the intro to the stream, where you can tell us what you did, but also tell us what you do, where you do it, all the things. If you want to, you don't have to share if you don't want to. That's okay. And sorry for also just putting pressure on you. So,
thank you, Jebro. I decline. So I will sit in silence, I suppose, for a little bit. All right. And let it be. No, I'm kidding.
Get him.
Thank you so much. I feel so lucky to have been able to do the pre-show. I mean, I'm sure many of you are tuning in with, any of these amazing casters or anybody else, any other content creators that are also ArenaNet partners or just cover the game out of their own love for it. So to those of you who tuned into the pre-show or watched alongside your favorite creators and some of my favorite creators too, because there's so many good people on this platform, I was just so incredibly happy to be able to do the pre-show and somehow manage to pull out of nowhere is the way that I'll phrase it. Pull out of nowhere a 40-minute summary of the entire story of Guild Wars 2. We did do it live, and yes, I did write it all. A lot of people seemed like, did Rook get it, or did Rook record it beforehand? No, it was all done live, and I wrote the whole ding dang thing. So it was amazing, and it was really, really a wonderful time. So thank you to everybody who listened. And hopefully, if you were catching up or missed some things, you were able to see how the story has gone so far and get excited for Cantha.
Yeah,
you can find me. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Jen.
No. I would say go and watch it because that thing was amazing. Like it literally reminded me about so many things that I'd completely forgotten about. So I didn't mean to interject. I'm just saying that it was good. And it was.
Thank you. Everybody's support afterwards made all the difference. I sat down. I've been working on it so hard. I sat down before we were going to go live, and I was like, wow, I hope everybody likes this. It's just like, this could be awful. I can't tell anymore. I've been working on it for so long. So seeing everybody's words afterwards and all the support and hype from the community about the announcements that followed, I mean, it was incredible. It's such an incredible moment. So thank you all so much. It was really cool to do. If you don't know me, I'm just as much of a huge, ridiculous goof everywhere on the internet. I have a big passion for MMOs. I'm a variety MMO broadcaster with a focus on Final Fantasy XIV and Guild Wars 2. We play on both, but I also dabble in a bunch of others, and I really like talking about the genre as a whole. I'm also an LGBTQIA+ broadcaster that's a member of Rainbow Arcade, and we focus on diversity, inclusion, mental health, as well as, conversations that are really relevant to games and creating a cozy, fun space for everybody to enjoy themselves. You can find me everywhere. Bird of Chess, at Bird of Chess, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, everywhere.
You can
That's
also
me.
find birds in the sky.
If you look up, I'm
Just look up.
watching.
That's
That's
They could be
me.
waddling.
Amazing.
It could be waddling.
It could be. Okay, so first of all, we showed the trailer. New trailer did come out with the preview event itself. And again, thank you very much for joining us as well, Bird of Chess. Awesome to have you here. Please make sure you go and check out all of the people who are on the show. There will be links for their main content that they do in the description of wherever you are. Spotify, there'll be in the description there. YouTube, all the places. There should be a link. It should be easy to get to. If not, come and join us live on Twitch on a Friday at about 12 p.m. Pacific-ish.
We don't
7 p.m.
bite.
Yeah, they
much.
don't. Oh, Truth probably does.
I need the vampirism.
Yes. We'll
Kroof
have to find
definitely
out.
bites. Can I just say, if we're adding to the Kroof lore, I think that's a definite for me. I would feel that strongly.
People are creating lore for me.
I want this to go in the Kroof records of lore that Kroof does bite.
Yes.
Good lord. Okay, so we're gonna start actually talking about what we are here to talk about. So what happened during the event was we had the return of Colin, handsome man of the world that we all love and admire, and also legend lead content designer Andrew Gray as well. So it's awesome to see them first of all, as well as Ruby, who is also very, very epic and very, very awesome as well. It's always presenting this stuff. Immediately my memories go back to Heart of Thorns as well, like Aurora Pichu, and there's me, you, and Bog and Chronic Gamer when we were introducing that stuff. That was all the hype and the memories from then was real right there for me. But it was awesome. It was an awesome show. But a major thing that I thought about was, and during the whole show was, then they mentioned a couple of times, they said, this is what I wrote. I've written this in this document, and that was a major beat for me for the entire show. Was this feels like a new ArenaNet, like a reborn. They kept saying the reborn was definitely a word and a phrase that was often said and on screen, and new things and breaking their own rules. So expect the unexpected kind of thing, which I think happened during this preview. In all honesty. New trailer though. Do you enjoy it, everyone? Let's go with Aurora Peachy first. How did you feel about the new trailer? Was it good? Was it is it okay? Was it for a launch? Wasn't launch trailer. It was more of a preview trailer, right?
It was. It was telling a lot about the story. I like how they snuck like the skiffs and the fishing in, with like, here's what's coming. I didn't even like when I saw the fishing. I was just like, oh, okay, it's Cantha. You know, like I didn't even think about that being like a feature. I loved most of all the style of this trailer because previous expansions have always had a different feel to their trailers. Whether they do them in-house or whether they bring out do an outside company. But this personally was my favorite. Usually they do like a concept art style trailer, which is beautiful and wonderful and just really fits the style that they go for with Guild Wars 2. Personally, I enjoyed this style of trailer the best. I love in-game graphics. I love seeing the characters in high res and looking beautiful. Beautiful close-ups of their faces, and we got that in this trailer even with some of the new characters, and it was really cool to see them up close. And I feel like I know these characters already because we've seen them and gotten almost into their personal space in this trailer. I mean, we see like an Asura's eye, we're super close up, eyebrow or eyelashes on fleek. And it was a beautiful trailer with the technology and
right. Like there was a real big mix of stuff. Like I think you're so right about the different companies that maybe, and even if it is maybe it's not even another company as well. But like the amount of years between like expansion trailers as well. Like the tech, like you say, the technology, and also just in the trailer technology as well as just technologies as it is. Like there's definitely an advancement in the production level of this trailer for sure. It's definitely different from the past ones, but like you say, the Basura, this bit here, I'm showing this again audibly. If you're not able to watch, like try and get to watch. We're only talking a little bit about the trailer, but that is the biggest close-up I've ever seen of an Asura. I don't think I've ever seen an Asura massively like portrayed that much in a trailer before.
Now, should we be getting that close is another question.
Hey, they're the best.
Much like Kroof, they bite.
True.
They're amazing. So Aurora Peachy enjoyed it, and what did Kroof think? Kroof, what did you think about China?
Oh, we must ask what Kroof thought. For the most part, I know. Maybe we should go give them an email. Does anybody have their email? They might get back to us soon. But I actually really enjoyed. My first impression was definitely that this is a different art style. Heart of Thorns was much more of their typical concept painterly feel, which I personally really, really enjoy. I think it's very unique to Guild Wars 2, but of course it is nice seeing a bit of a difference here and then. Path of Fire didn't really have a standard CGI trailer. It was mostly in-game stuff. Yeah. So for End of Dragons and their continued messaging that they're not backing down. They're really pushing forward with Guild Wars 2. It was nice to see that they put resources and a lot of artistic integrity into this cinematic trailer. But overall, what captivated me the most with this had to have been the narrative aspect, the dialogue that we got with it. Yes, it was visually beautiful, but I'm such a person who pays so much attention to the lore and always looking for little hints and sneak peeks at the upcoming stuff. So when you really look at the dialogue, there's a lot to kind of comb through there, even though there's not like a whole lot of dialogue. But what is present, I really enjoyed.
Awesome. Yeah. There is definitely a difference because they do this thing, and I was looking through the past trailers, and I'm going to show this, but they have like the expansion trailer and the launch trailer, and sometimes they have like a more art kind of art book, I guess, like concept art trailer, like you said. I'm just going to stick that Heart of Thorns one. Heart of Thorns was tons of in-game footage as well in the trailers. I actually completely forgot that they had some of this stuff. And then they had the really CGI kind of oriented trailer as well. And then Path of Fire was different. Path of Fire trailers were awesome as well. Like looking back at them, I was like, whoa, Balthazar was like a mean ass dude. Like this was actually very, very awesome. And
the music they chose for Path of Fire was also really great. It was very very fitting of the god and the tale of Balthazar.
The music is always great. Always fantastic. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the trailer as well, Chris. So so far, we're going well. By the chest.
Pretty solid.
Do you have anything to add? Do you just your personal opinion? Did you enjoy the trailer? Is there anything specifically you enjoyed about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make it I assume 4 out of 4. Although Jeb, you have said you liked it, but you haven't given your full opinion yet. So we'll see. Maybe you'll completely overturn the rest of us. But no, I loved it. And honestly, for the reasons that Peachy and Kroof outlined, I think this style is so gorgeous because although it isn't really like, again, that traditional painterly sort of, scenes that sort of swoop in and out with minimal animation and things like that we've seen, I think the sense of that painting style is still there in the color, in the composition, in the way that they realize it. Like, it still feels like that art is there. But even going to the Icebird saga, I remember the first like cutscenes we see with Bangar, I was going, oh my gosh, like this is incredible. I love this style. It feels like they've taken the actual style of Guild Wars 2 and then just given it this bit of polish that, I would say almost like, oh, it's kind of Pixar-esque as a catch-all for animation. But at the same time, it really is its own thing. Like it feels as though it really is Guild Wars 2, but they have created this kind of look for it that just feels so clean and so beautiful and draws on those artistic roots, and we get to see these characters in this really lovely detail. I agree with Kroof too in the sense that there's just so much to dig into in this trailer. The tiny glimpses, obviously we learned a little bit more afterwards in the blog post about this sort of Jade technology and it being powered as it sort of seeped and infused with dragon magic, and now they're using the Jade for various things. And we know that apparently my Trin's going to be in it, and all these other like little things. There's been a lot of speculation about the Asura being Zoja. There's like all sorts of little things that you can just like take apart, both from the text, from all the bubbles everywhere, from all these different little things that I really like. So that when people kind of came out of it, and I heard some people saying like, oh, we really didn't learn anything about the plot. And I was like, oh no, I think we learned a ton. Like,
I was like, did you watch it?
Yeah. And like pair that with the release art that we got. And I know, Peachy, that you're a big fan of these two as well, but Kaz and Marjorie are like my favorite couple in the game. And I'm so happy. So there's just so much to be excited about, and I think we got a lot of info even in just this short period of time.
Awesome. Well, I guess sometimes I just put my opinion in there as well, but I think as you've all said, and Peach said this as well, about the fact that there's these snippets, like you say, of features, and that's what I do when the trailers come up. I'm in there, I'm immersed, and I get, even just then when while we were playing, you saw me, I was getting excited. I had like massive flipping I was just happy. It was awesome.
Big happy vibes.
Yeah, and like just looking at all the things, like you saw the skiff, like Aurora Peachy, but I said it. I was like, fishing's in the game, because we talked about fishing on here. We've talked about boats on here as well. We talked about a load of stuff which is actually coming, and so I'm pretty proud of us for a start. And the boats thing was more of the boats thing. Do you remember when you pulled out the boats? Like
I did. I was like, they had old concept art of like all these things, and you're like, what? And I was like, I scour ArtStation 24/7. I'm like, here's Asura boats, here's Dragon Champion boats.
A skiff is a boat, everyone. It's a small pleasure/leisure boat that goes along the coasts. People fish, people chill out, listen to the music, do the things, they hang out.
If I could just add one slight thing about the trailer that I've seen in the community, and I kind of agree with as well. Okay. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of levels in the trailer. And by that, I mean some more action. The tone was pretty consistent. It was very magical. And I've seen a lot of people say that they would have liked a little bit more of an epicness to it. But of course, we have maybe more trailers to go for anyone watching. So I would hope to see with maybe the launch trailer that we get kind of maybe a little bit more of an epic fight scene, or like an introduction of flash of a fight scene. Because we did get a little bit of a Naga, but it was kind of more of just like showcasing it. So I do agree somewhat with that.
This definitely felt like an almost like sweep through of the beginning of Cantha, like the introduction, where it was like, welcome to Cantha, and then like the cut, like in any film ever, it like scrolls over and you can see all, from up high, the like look of the whole place. Like it felt very much like that. And also set an interesting tone in regards to, a ton of the speculation about the possible deep sea dragon or Kunavang or all these things where we've been assuming that maybe the big fight or whatever it would be to take down the final dragon. but now having some of these subversions or an almost more peaceful start is really interesting. And it does feel like we'll maybe see the actual conflict introduced in future trailers. Like, okay, well now you saw Cantha, so get ready, and then it's gonna be like a big thing.
The WWE SmackDown of all dragons.
I think once they release more features, and because
Yeah.
we don't even know what the other two masteries are, we don't know all of the specializations. So I think once all of the features are revealed, we know everything that's coming. There's going to be a trailer that's more, like you said, like action oriented. We're going to see the elite specializations and everything that the expansion is going to offer. And if you think about it, we've only really been introduced in trailers and information and screenshots to Xingje Island, as well as a little bit of the Echovald Forest. There's a lot more to Cantha than just those two areas. So I think we also have a lot of that to look forward to as well.
Yeah,
Agreed.
like actually playing the trailer, like the announcement trailers as well, which you would compare them to. There's even elite specializations in them, like in Heart of Thorns and even Path of Fire. So it is a very different style for sure. Like it feels like this trailer was done. Maybe there's a different one actually as well. But like the trailer, it feels like some of the trailers are done in house. Like very much about the action, you know, like we see trailers for different parts of the game as well when they come out. So it's I kind of like, I know what you mean now. Thinking about it, I'm like, it would have been nice to see a little bit more action. It would just a little bit of maybe the map, I suppose. But I'm still getting those feels of like, you know, this is making me excited and happy that we've got this trailer and we're actually talking about it. So there's definitely that. But yeah, I can understand for sure.
I was going to say, some of this too might also be a bit of a reflection of the growth of the game, right? I mean, there have always been things that have really stood out about Guild Wars 2, and particularly, you know, early on, and I think as they were releasing things and kind of pitching the game and all that kind of stuff, a big draw had to do with this unique action-oriented combat, which is absolutely a huge part of Guild Wars 2. But over time, I think we've seen more and more the narrative team and the story of the world and the cumulative lore of the world really grow in this way where they've refined and really figured out a lot of what they want to do. And we've seen the scope and scale of this story just change in the way that it's, you know, presented in the cinematography. And I just like absolutely adore that. Living Season 4 for me felt like a huge pinnacle of a lot of that, where so many different things came together thematically to really impact players in a way that, like, although the base game is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
I can't say, you know, some of the storytelling there felt quite as polished and refined. And like, yes, we figured out and we have a lot of different vehicles and ways to kind of communicate this narrative. So it feels like maybe it's kind of a reflection as well of the fact that the story of Guild Wars 2 has grown so much, and that they have, I think, a really adept team. And, you know, whatever things there were at play within Icebird Saga that I think maybe condensed the overall scope of that story, I think we still can see that this team is fantastic at narrative, and I think there's a lot of good things for them to be able to culminate here in this expansion.
Yeah. There's definitely varied opinions on the narrative, I think, at times in the story. Like you say, you know, the launch of the game, and I think there was a crunch at the beginning where, you know, maybe there was more pressure to kind of chuck that out a little bit more at times. Again, I don't know for sure. But like, you know, they have had some awesome moments, and we're playing through those moments at the moment for your achievements as well. So make sure you're playing for all the achievements, getting those all done, get your tokens for one of the 16 legendaries that's going to be coming out, which we will talk about soon as well. But yeah, we're going to move on from the trailer because there is a lot. Okay, so, well, I did have Matron in there as well. So is that Matron? Is that character? Who is that character? That's Matron, right?
Which Matron's on the Aetherblade ship at the end with the Asura.
Yeah.
I was under that impression as well, but I believe one of the developers, after the trailer launch, they said, who is that mysterious Asura next to Anka? Which is another new voice actor who was just showcased in the reveal. So I thought it was Matron. It looks like Matron. That could have just been like a miscommunication or something, but I would be safer to say that was probably Matron.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's funny. Oh my gosh, we were talking about the pre-show and everything, right? One of the last things that I cut for time was my Trin in Living Season 1. And I
Oh,
was
that's cool.
like, I really think, because we had been talking about the Aether Blades as a possible inspiration for Elite Specs the week before. And I was like, I really want to leave this in. And then I was doing the timers for each section. And I was like, my Trin, you gotta go. And then they went, my Trin. And I was like, you monsters.
My Trin got the boot. Back to the mist with you.
For anybody who doesn't know, because I think a lot of people won't, honestly, she was introduced in Living Season 1, from my understanding, and was a part of the political landscape that eventually led to Inspector Kiel being promoted to the Captain's Council of Lion's Arch. And she actually assassinated, during Dragon's Bash, one of the other council members, and was working in tandem with Scarlet alongside the Inquest. And she is the leader of a band of sky pirates known as the Aether Blades. So she was caught and imprisoned by Inspector Kiel for her crimes, but later escaped with help from her crew. So, but we know she has Canthan roots, and presumably the Aether Blades have been operating in and out because they have airships that could go over the seas that were plagued by Zaitan and things like that. But yeah, of course she was the one I cut. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
If she's of Canthan descent, you should have known.
I know.
James,
They won't bring her back. No.
Not going to talk too much about her specifically, but is there anything else anyone else wanted to add about her before we kind of move on, or any of the characters specifically? There's so much. I've written loads. I should hand out these notes. I do as well, probably at some point. Okay, so story in End of Dragons. Sorry. So thoughts are, so they keep saying this is Orin's story. Orin is the main character in this. It's all about Orin, and I guess our story alongside Orin, with Orin, etc., etc. There wasn't much story teased, but I think for people to say there wasn't hardly any story at all was a bit, a bit silly. There's the tech in there. You've got some characters. You've got it felt like a long teaser, I guess, in a way, but there was definitely some story kind of features in there. The
Dragon Jade alone, I'm so fascinated to learn about. This technology that's based on the latent magic that is stored in the Jade Sea has been harnessed and is used to create new technologies in Cantha. That's what they've been doing over the last 250 years, is harnessing this technology. In the concept art, you see, I think it's one of the engineer. I forget their name, but they have a jade arm. An arm that's made out of this jade technology as a prosthesis, and it just looks so cool. And that's just the tiniest bit of a glimpse of what we're probably going to see this jade dragon technology used for.
Yes, I love this. I actually, while you were talking, pulled up the tweet because the same character totally jumped out to me, and we know the character's name is Yao, and if anybody didn't know, voice of R.Y. Eason on Twitter is the one that's going to be voicing the character, and they actually confirmed during the announcement that they are agender, which I also just loved because, again, Guild Wars 2 is sort of expanding the representation they have in the game, which is always a really cool thing to see. It's neat. I mean, I am really curious about how much they've integrated this Jade technology, magic technology, into everything, and or if it carries some kind of downside with it, or if there's a threat because of it.
The elite specs.
You
never know.
Well, this is the thing. This is what I'm thinking as well. But also just loads of stuff, alliances and World v World, as well as they're going to be this tech which is brought in, bringing new features. Because they've talked about alliances being heavily part of this now because of factions and everything else. But I'm just excited for the possibility. I'm finding this picture because I want to show everyone, and because I love it. Because it reminds me of this more steampunky kind of part, like the Aether Blades as well. I love the Aether Blades. I think they're one of my favorite, factions in the game. I absolutely adore those guys because they brought some wicked outfits as well out, which are very Aether Bladey. Okay, cool. I'm gonna find that and I'll post that up in a bit. But let me have a look. Oof. I'm gonna kind of go. I'm gonna go out of the story as well from the trailer because there's just features that I want to talk about. I'm just too excited for the other stuff.
There's so much.
You're like, story,
there is. I'm
features,
looking
let's
at
go.
this and I'm like, good lord, there's so much. But there was this section called Camphor Reimagined, and they talked about Xingye. They talked about like the field of the maps as well, and it sounded to me like they're going for more of this Heart of Thorns replayability, which is what I think Colin mentioned a few times and a couple of other people. Did any of you get that kind of same feel? Like, what did you think about that segment if you remember it back? But
100%.
okay.
I think it's a very wise decision to go down that road, and I think they've definitely learned from their past 2 expansions. Of course, Heart of Thorns, we had very replayable maps with really large meta events and armor collections, weapon collections, etc. For Path of Fire, they decided to maybe go in a bit of a different direction where it was just very open, visually pleasing, almost role-playing maps. There was some meta events, but it wasn't necessarily the focus of that design. And I think throughout the years and all of the feedback, they've probably decided that having more replayability is probably the better thing, especially if they want to carry on with Guild Wars 2, and as they are carrying on with Guild Wars 2 after End of Dragons as well. So I'm really excited about that. I always want to have a reason to come back to these maps, and I still go back to Heart of Thorns today. They're great meta events.
I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of have to, right, as well, for a lot of the stuff you need, like legendary armor, like, skins and, check eggs.
Don't call me out, Jebro. I don't have a full set of legendary armor
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I'm working on it too, crew. If you're not alone, that's what I'm doing right now too.
I got heavy, but I still got light and medium to go.
So yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think it's funny because we've talked about this before and I agree with it. I think Path of Fire was very much their map design and mentality was almost a direct response to Heart of Thorns and some of the critiques of Heart of Thorns, right? The idea that the maps were too arduous, too difficult, too twisty, too many layers. And so to create, also because the landscape, I think to some degree lent itself to this as well, like to create slightly like flatter maps that maybe had more interesting things you could do with your mounts, which were a big feature of the expansion. And that didn't have these like extremely punishing sprawling metas that would then dominate the entire map while they were occurring. I can understand why they did it, but I loved that during this portion, I think they highlighted the best elements of both map styles, because Heart of Thorns for me is incredible because so few MMOs really take into account the ability to have verticality in maps. When you think about it, like any other MMO that you've played, because there aren't all these masteries, because maybe there's flight, but it's not really a thing, but maybe there's one expansion where flight is featured, so there's a little bit more verticality, but there's not really much you can do with it or discover or interactivity on the map, right?
Yeah.
So Guild Wars 2 changes that. They made that verticality a part of the journey of Heart of Thorns. They made overcoming it and getting the masteries something that had value to you because it saved your butt from pocket raptors. They made it something that really, really, really helped you. And then when you get to Path of Fire, one of the things that I absolutely adored about that was the way that they used mounts. Because mounts, again, are something that very rarely in MMOs have unique facets to them that make them content in and of themselves, right? So to introduce things like the Sand Jackal portals, the beetle races, the Griffin mastery courses, which are so fun and so infuriatingly difficult.
Well, even the quest to get the Griffin in the first place was probably more of an odd, is definitely more involved than the other mounts before it.
Yes,
and
it
costs a lot of gold.
Yeah, which was people got sad about, but still, like, you're right. Yeah, sorry, carry on. You were in the middle of
that's basically it. I have a lot of feelings about the maps at Guild Wars 2. I just really love the way that they pointed out those incredible, I think, assets from either map design mentality, and they were saying we want to merge them and then give you the scale and the replayability of the metas of Heart of Thorns. And I was like, that's it. That's what I wanted. That's it. And it was just right. It hit the nail on the head for me.
Anyone else need to add anything? I don't know if we need to add
I think
anything.
in general, they're returning to a lot of the mentality they had in the Heart of Thorns expansion and just in that era, down to the marketing. because like seeing Colin, sorry, I'm an old fan, and one of the most hype times in Guild Wars 2's history, besides launch, of course, was like season 2 and Heart of Thorns. The community was just so involved in the game, and the devs were involved with the community right back. And yes, it was a long 9-month lead up to the launch of Heart of Thorns, but in that time, they gave us blog post after blog post after blog post of the elite specs. Even twice a week, it was they announced, they gave you the teaser on Tuesday, and they would announce the full thing on Friday, and then the next week they do it all over again. And that long period of slowly revealing and getting us excited about the game, it kept us engaged, and it kept the fans talking. It kept everybody just constantly talking about the game, kept it in people's minds for all that time. And I feel this feels like that era of the game, from both the features that are coming, the way they're doing things, everything that Rook mentioned, as well as like down to the marketing and the live streams and the way they're revealing things. And I'm so excited that they're like returning to the best parts of every era of the game, and they're really putting the players first and pulling from every era of the game what worked, because something different worked in every era of the game. So to pull all of those and put them together into this expansion and this build up to release, especially now that it's been delayed, keep it in our minds. And excuse me. And it feels so good, because I feel like it's 2014.
Yeah,
2015
exactly.
again.
Yeah, I agree.
Excuse me.
Like we were
100.
and the inclusion of all of the creators as well was such
I'm choking
a
on my
big
hype.
deal. It's okay. Yeah, choking on the hype is fine.
Way too hyped, can't contain it.
I'm so hyped, I just can't, falling apart.
The hype left me
It
gagged.
is, but like maybe that's part of it as well. Maybe like that's the part of the excitement, is remembering a time where, you know, we were a lot more excited for the game and the future of the game. Because I think before End of Dragons, and I'm gonna say before we knew Colin was coming back, that there was a lot of, you know, question marks. There's an end of Dragons. That's the name, and we'll talk about that later. We didn't know who the director was. You know, Mike left. We didn't know for a long time who was. We didn't really know what was going on, other than the Icebreed saga, which felt like it was kind of there but not there also, for very much of the time that it existed. And it just felt very, you know, Mike, like Mike, obviously, who was before Mike Z, who was long standing at Guild Wars, you know, he left, but almost to a degree, like he took over as director, there was a very different feeling, it felt like, coming out from Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think I prefer Colin's way of doing things, basically. Very much, here's the
Agreed.
information, here it is. Like Aurora Peachy said, literally, here's teasers, here's trailers, here's gameplay. Here's a beta for you to play all of the things. Here is
In the
more
20
betas.
weeks. Oh,
Here,
yeah.
test the game, test the features, give us feedback rather than surprise and delight your fans with gameplay and stuff that's not been tested by anyone and people may not even enjoy. Like, I just think there is no PTR, there's no PTS where we can give feedback, and betas are such an awesome thing to offer that feedback and just be like, this isn't really what we want, this isn't really what we need in the game, you know. And maybe there's a way to adjust that, or there's, you know, some coding that can change to adjust the numbers on this boss, you know, or abilities or anything like that, where we can just have some kind of influence and change in the game. Because if you invite your players to get involved in the game and to, you know, affect some kind of change, that gives them a power, and it also gives them investment in the game and as a community. Like, it's so powerful. I don't feel like developers really understand how powerful it is sometimes to be a player and be like, you know what, I feel like they listened to me. Even if they didn't listen to you specifically.
That gets you invested as a player.
Exactly.
Like, this is a feature that I said I wanted, and when you see it in the game, oh my god, you're gonna go in game and check it out because they listened to me and they listened to feedback, and you get excited because then it makes you feel a part of what's going on, what you're playing.
And that's important. It's an important feeling. And you know, I've always said this about the game or about any game, you know, it's all about, you know, communication. And that's a really, really awesome thing. Again, well said by Aurora Peachy. Good stuff. So yeah, that's my little rant about like how awesome I feel like, you know, I completely resonate with what you're saying, Aurora Peachy, because I completely agree. Like those two events, and unfortunately COVID and stuff is probably going to not mean that happens this time around, but there's one in Brighton in the UK and there's one here in Seattle at the office, and you know, you went to that one and I went to the one in Brighton, but like we got to play, we got to record, we got to interview the devs, we got to like do so much stuff, and then everyone got to play the same content we played. So it wasn't excluding people. It was very much inviting everyone to get involved as if they were a content creator as well. And that was so awesome. We played Revenant in the first map. It was so good. It was so good. And I'm hyped and excited for everyone to just experience that again, and even just experience it for the first time. Because we're playing Elite Specializations in like 3 weeks.
Oh my god, less than 3 weeks. I can't believe it. That shocked me when they said that it was coming August 17th.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
So good.
Like, September, no, you know, October.
Yeah.
What?
No
Next month?
It's so close. And we know they're going to be revealing more like about these elite specs prior to the different beta phases. And I'm just over here like, okay, all right. It was so funny because people, it seemed like afterwards were like, I'm so angry they didn't release all the elite specs. And then I was just thinking back to so many of us, especially creators that were talking about or listening to all of you talk about as well, like the hype leading up into Heart of Thorns and about the fact that they paced out the reveals and left people guessing, and everybody was talking and theory crafting and, you know, trying to guess what the outline was. And then, you know, here we've got the first Mesmer one, and Boots is like, it's definitely a spear, or, you know, people are like, it's a paddle, or, you know, like whatever.
Yeah, I was like, it's a paddle. It's definitely a paddle.
I was team spear.
You were team spear?
At first, I was spear, and then I was persuaded.
I was
down
never
the line.
team spear. And he's like, I will tell
you're
you.
no fun, Jabba.
I'm no fun, but I was still right.
Wow, you're
That's
just
the
never
important
wrong.
thing.
Are you happy you're right? Would you have rather there be new weapons?
I mean, to be fair, we're going to talk about it in a minute, because I actually feel like, in a way, I'll talk about it in a minute. I actually feel like, just as a little teaser for what I'm going to talk about later, it feels like this dagger is almost like a spear, and we'll talk about that in a bit, because of some of the abilities, and just the range of it as well. Criff, did you want to add anything to this, by the way?
What was the question?
I don't remember, because this is what happens every time. It was we were talking about the Camp Reimagined, the maps, and the in-game stuff that we may have seen. Kind of just what you feel about life generally.
Life is so tranquil and so peaceful.
But
no,
like,
but I guess I can speak on the Heart of Thorns lead up, because I took a break from Guild Wars 2 and came back really at the Battle of Lion's Arch and just before Heart of Thorns. So I, as a younger person, was able to witness the media, and of course I wasn't making videos at the time.
You saying younger person because we're old?
I might have been like, I don't know, like
person.
13 at the time, so maybe. But
so young and fresh, so young and fresh. Unlike certain crypt keepers.
Oh my god.
That's karma right there.
Criff, get on subject.
You both keep talking about how old you are.
I know we are. I'm blaming Aurora Peachy.
You're not old. You are not old. I have to say
as
this,
I was saying,
My knee hurts, okay? My knee hurts. It's definitely getting old. When I get up in the morning, there's a creak. Look, do you want me to play?
I've unleashed chaos.
It all went for the beads. The beads went, the whole stream went. It's okay.
But being a viewer in that time, it was definitely a really fun experience being on the viewer's end, being on the player's end of things, watching you both like take to these like larger stages and get to spread information and be a face for the community. It was really a wonderful time, and I look back on Heart of Thorns with great fondness, and I really hope End of Dragons can pull from those areas as well. So I just want to echo everything Peachy and of course you, Jebra, have said. So yes, amplifying that 100%.
I just want to note as well that Kroof brought things back. Kroof did.
I know.
Out of anyone.
I'm
Proud
wrangling
of you.
things.
You are definitely you know you're changing, and I'm not sure how to handle this. Good job. I'm proud of you. Okay, let's go. Right, here we go. The hype. I'm getting off that subject because guess what? Masteries. Masteries were a thing. Oh my god. We know 3 of them. There are going to be 2 more. And we're going to talk about what we maybe think they are. But the first one is announcement. Drum roll, please. You did that quick. Teenage Mutant Siege Turtles.
Oh, I thought we were doing a
Take away the Teenage Mutant bit.
There
It
are
should be
babies.
teenage. I mean, we very much got the whole age thing going on, so I thought I'd to say teenage, I guess. I don't know. But the Siege Turtles, okay, this is ridiculous, okay? This was out of anything that I was expecting to come with this announcement. Siege Turtles was far from my mind. What do you think about
Really?
Siege Turtles? Bird of Chess.
The perfect edition. Sorry. Go
I was
ahead.
like,
No,
no, I mean,
Peachy is
you're
right.
happy as
Peachy
well.
was just speaking. Peachy
okay.
was channeling me, and it just went straight through because I agree, and I couldn't agree more.
This seems to be a 3v1, Jebro.
I'm there. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this. Look at it. Look at the turtle. It is massive.
Look at the boy. Oh,
It's
Lord,
funny.
he's coming.
He coming. I'm actually surprised you didn't see. Well, okay. This is the thing, though. Part of me wants to say I'm surprised you
thing?
didn't really anticipate that we would get Siege Turtles, but the other part of me has to agree in the sense that I thought it was going to come down to something like a new mount a la Siege Turtles or boats. I never thought we would get both. And so when they announced
That's it.
Siege Turtles, I wasn't like surprised because one of my favorite things about factions, and I played factions much later than I think a lot of people because I came to Guild Wars 2 and then started playing it. And so when I did factions, I was so delighted by these turtles. I just I love them. I love when you're doing the things with the 2 different factions and you go and they just have all their houses on the gigantic turtles. Like I stood there for what must have been an hour and a half of stream, no exaggeration, just looking at the turtles and going to each different turtle. And I didn't even play the PvP mode that everybody loves the Siege Turtles from. So for me, I was just so delighted by the fact that giant turtles I could ride around on existed, that when we were thinking about things with possible new mounts, one of the things I had spitballed on my own stream was just like, well, a 2-seater would make sense. And I had been thinking maybe a Dolyak, but I hadn't necessarily thought about 2-seater plus Siege Turtle plus co-op combat mount, which is just like the perfect trifecta. It's so
That's
good.
the thing, right? And like every single time you think Guild Wars 2 mounts, immediately you have to be like, before you even think about mounts, you have to think about the viability of what they're going to be able to do in the game and what a mount's already doing that a new mount has to do. Like you've got like flying in games seems to be the most wanted thing. Like in MMORPGs, flying seems to be a very desired thing that happens a lot. I actually don't like flying because it actually ruins the exploration of the game, but I like the way Guild Wars 2 does it and some other games as well, because you can do it much later and then you can see at a different level. So I think that's okay as long as you're not doing it as you go, which I think most games do. I do like having my Sky Star, I'm not gonna lie. And I like the Griffin, the way they did that. But then I was like, are they going to bring him out? What is the man going to be? And I think that's why my mind just went away. But then it was like, Colin, like when you hear him talk, I've got a clip. And he literally is like, I think this is the biggest feature for him. I'm not even going to lie. I think he keeps saying like 2-player mounts. He's like got the biggest smile on his face, like he's a small child. And it's so infectious. And it was just like, yes, 2-player mounts. 2-player mounts. You don't need to have
Very
access
exciting.
to mounts to get on the mount. So you can brand new player, and you know how everyone waits for new players to get into the game, and they just sit there. There's still people that do that. Can you imagine day one, everyone gets that mount, Like, there is going to be a flippin' siege turtle party going down. And if there isn't, I'm going to be extremely sad because that will be amazing and I will be there for it. 100%. We need to do this. This needs to happen.
Be the change you wish to see in the world, Jebro.
Yes, sorry. I'm excited as well.
I agree.
Someone else talk about it. Because otherwise I'm going to talk for 2 hours about turtles.
I was under the impression of Rook, of course, and probably a lot of other people that they were probably only going to do like a mount or a boat, or the boat would of course be the new mount. So having two is really wild. And of course, I'm kind of more so focusing on the aspect of this mount because Path of Fire was they introduced mounts and they focused on the traversal and the exploration mechanics. With the Siege Turtle, they seem to be going in a bit of a different direction where it's going to be more combat focused and oriented.
Yeah.
Which I'm a little cautious about, but I think there is still ways to be able to do it and not make it feel super overpowered to the point where you never go on your elite spec and you never dismount and you only stay on your Siege Turtle because it's the best thing ever. But I think the co-op aspect of it is really the highlighting feature that I hope we see further in the expansion. Maybe more mounts where we can have like 3 people, or a guild mount where we have like 10 people in this big thing and it doesn't really do anything, but it can ferry people around for the guild missions and stuff or whatever. So I like the technology, the innovation and all that stuff is very exciting of what they could do. But the Siege Turtle, boy, he coming. The big turtle is looking wonderful. I want to give him a nice smush. I want to smush his face.
Do you think there's some kind of like, I mean, this could be a question for all of you because I think you've all played Final Fantasy 14 now as well, obviously. But like, do you think there's a bit of a, because I do notice that some of the features that kind of slide into Guild Wars 2, there is a little bit of a Final Fantasy 14 influence at times. I know that like World of Warcraft, there's some mounts as well. But do you think there's anything there about that, like some kind of influence from other MMORPGs where they're like, that's actually quite cool, or that's a thing we were gonna like that kind of would be obvious to have in the game anyway, or is it just I don't know, how do you feel about that, Simon? Is there anything?
I'll be honest. So I wasn't surprised that the Siege Turtle was one of the mounts. It delighted and surprised me. I didn't know it was coming, of course, but I was like, oh, this is something that that's one of the most anticipated mounts, was a Siege Turtle. But when he said co-op, I'm not gonna lie, the first thing my brain went to was Final Fantasy 14. Yep. Because it has co-op mounts. And that's something that every time I see it in there, I'm like, oh, Guild Wars 2, like, come on. Like, that's perfect, right? Like, that's such a good idea. And so that is instantly where my mind went. And, there's no more perfect mount for them to have introduced. Because not only is it a 2-seater, but both players have something to do. Because you have the siege. So one person is driving, the other person is actually participating in the mount by however that's going to work mechanically. I'm not sure, because on mounts currently, you don't really fight on top of the mounts. They have a combat skill that gets them into battle, gives you a little bonus, and then they're gone. Whereas the Siege Turtle, I guess you're just going to be able to fight. I mean, we're going to see like armies of Siege Turtles out in the world with like players and armies going after like world bosses, a bunch of Siege Turtles. It's going to be really interesting to see mechanically how the Siege Turtle works in game. But introducing 2-seater co-op mounts, this was a perfect time to introduce that for sure.
I wanted to
Go,
well, I was going to say, I wanted to touch, and I think maybe it's along the same vein that you were going to talk about, Jeb, but after hearing both Kroof and Peachy talk about it, I think it is one of those things where talking about like balancing this within the world, right? It sounds like to me the way it's going to work is that one person steers the mount, the other person mans the cannons, right? So while I do think there's probably some inspiration from Final Fantasy 14, and this is something that is like important. This is why I enjoy talking about a lot of MMOs and playing a lot of different MMOs. MMOs affect one another. Like things that are innovations vie for the same subscriber bases. So if you see another game doing something cool, you probably want to bring that in. Yeah. But Guild Wars 2 always adds its own innovation to it, which I appreciate so much. Because I mean, multiplayer mounts, while Final Fantasy 14 does come to mind right now, there's something that I think just in general, as you're thinking about like what are things we could do with mounts, that is something that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But then to take it that step further is huge. And I imagine that the big thing here is that, right, it's encouraging you to play with others. So I don't see a lot of people just going out solo on their turtles because they can't actually shoot the thing. So it's not like they're never going to be playing
what's
their
the
own
bonus
class on
of that,
foot.
right? Yeah.
Yes. And I can only imagine that if you have one person manning cannons, again, it's not going to be the same amount of damage as if both people were on the ground fighting with their specs or like fighting in their class and just going for it, right? So it's one of those things where I think there's enough tempering it where it's not going to be massively OP, but I also think that it's really fun what it enables you to do, and that like going out in these huge like turtle caravans to just go ham with like a player vanguard and then like the siege turtles in the back. That's so fun. And really what matters for the most part in open world is that you are out there, you are playing with people, and that you are engaging with the action in some way, shape, or form. And I think that this allows people to do that. And it's so clever and so fun. I love it.
Is it like because of that? I was led to believe, and this could be incorrect, that World v World would be a place where they're going to exist.
That's what I want to talk about too.
Because like that was hinted at, and I think they said the game modes as well, and I was like, in World v World maybe, and like if that's going to be a thing, and they're talking about alliances and they're talking about how they really want to invest more in World v World, and I'm like, World v World was why I started playing Guild Wars 2, and I'm like, if they had siege turtles, then you could maybe construct things. I'm in my I'm going way out there. Do you know what I mean? But like,
Do it.
I don't know. Yeah,
A while. Be free.
Yeah, I mean, I will. And and it was just, I don't know. I mean, what? I don't know what that was. Hair, maybe. The desire for hair. I've got wings.
Wishful thinking.
It's like, yeah, wishful, very. But it's just exciting. I don't know. Like, do you think World v World is a place where this is gonna be a thing? I mean, I think they can limit the areas they go to, similar to what they do with gliding and the mounts as well. Of course, in jump puzzles and stuff, they have those no glide zones. So I think that's gonna be okay. It's gonna be very interesting to see turtles going across Terra, and especially in the new maps. But I think obviously they're going to be designed with that in mind, of course. But I feel like there's going to be, every single time I think about this specifically, I think about the first char, one of the early char missions when you get in the turret and you are firing at the Ascalonian peeps. You're in God, where are you? The first map. I can't remember what it's called.
Plains of Ashford.
Yeah, you're in Plains of Ashford, and you're just doing one of those really early quests, and you're just firing out of a turret, and I'm like, that's going to be it. You're going to have this target, you're going to be using that to kill things or whatever, and maybe it's going to be part of your story quest. I would love it if you would just, it was like the Raptor, at the beginning of Path of Fire, like having that introduction would be very awesome. I don't know. I'm excited for that part. I really want to have that connection to a mountain a little bit more than we saw in Path of Fire with a couple of the others, but I don't know.
Well, I think they've shown the baby siege turtle as well as the big siege turtle. So I think it's going to be like the sky scale where we raise it from a hatchling.
God, please don't do that, the sky scale. not the length of it.
It'll
not
be
the
worth
length of it. Not the length of it.
Why do people crave content and things to do in the game, and then when you have to go do a quest collection chain, they're like, no, I don't want it.
Chris, it was very long-winded.
Okay.
Give it to me.
I mean, I will say my
There
biggest
is a
complaint
way
about
to
that.
be able to
I'm
do
sorry,
it.
it was.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually loved the raising part of it. I loved the actual progression bits. I think for me it was just the repetitive, the same steps that were the exact same thing going to the exact same places on the map that got me. But I loved, I enjoyed the Griffin quest. I enjoyed the raising the sky scale. I was telling everybody there was this old game, it was a Quest for Camelot. Where it was based off of the animated film, but there was a game that was a version where you hatched a baby dragon and then raised it, which was my obsession growing up. And I played that game. So for me, it was like they just took that and upgraded it in Guild Wars 2 with the sky scale. But I would love it if they had us do something like that in Cantha, because you're right, it gives you a deeper emotional bond. And if you cut out some of the more repetitive filler stuff and you focus more on those varied steps, and even if it is something that you have to invest a lot of time or energy or resources into, that's fine. I think it's usually just feeling as though you're making progress that really like matters to people in a way that's rewarding.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree.
It was at times, it was a bit, I was getting a bit like, and I had a guide, and I had a guide as well, which probably made it worse. But like, you know, it feels like a bit of a job. But like, as long as they don't make it too time gatey as well. Like, I want to like I'm literally that week. I want that thing. I want the thing. I want the mount. I want it. I need it. Like, I want to welcome people into Tyria and I just want to have it.
I think it would be smart to prolong the acquisition, maybe not to the time gate standard of like you have to wait 2 weeks or like gods forbid a month, but I think that having a little bit of a progression to it will also increase the longevity of people doing things in game. And especially if the siege turtle is such an epic thing, when we get to see more of it, maybe people will be a little bit more willing to go through this collection. But I hope they've learned what the community enjoys from the Skyscale collection, what they enjoy from the Griffin collection, and of course what they didn't really like, and find a middle ground. And I wouldn't mind doing another collection where we raise amount.
Has to be done in a different way.
Very small beam.
Like, yeah, I mean that's
Peachy's given me so many hopes about tiny baby turtle that I can love.
I didn't even think about
Otherwise,
this.
why would there be a tiny baby turtle?
This is why I like having different people on the podcast, because they bring stuff that I just didn't think about. Because you're right, there it is on the screen. If
There's
you're watching,
a baby turtle.
Yeah, if you're listening to this again, that we do have some video and pictures up. But like, there's the baby one, and then as you keep going, they've got this like render of like what it looks like, because there's that, and that looks very different to then the beast thing, which
war turtle,
which is literally like the size of that thing is actually ridiculous. That's a Norn. That will be a Norn scene on there in a second anyway, when it actually comes up. Where is it? Come on.
And does it change in size depending on your character's height? Because I know the mounts do that too. So you could have like a maximum height Asura be so small, and there's a massive turtle.
I really love the idea of like an Asura that's steering the turtle. I mean, I'm guessing, I don't remember exactly from the pictures, but I'm guessing they'd probably be like sitting on its neck, but I do kind of just love the idea of them just like stuck to the shell, as like holding on.
Like gripping it like a death grip.
Like, oh my god. Raising one arm to point directions, but
Just had the footage as well.
Are there like reins? I don't know. I remember there's a seat on top of the shell, like in the top center of the shell. There's a seat. Maybe it looks to me like there was a seat that faced forward and one that faced backwards.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the footage.
What's going to be the radius? Is it going to be a 360 siege? What's the range? There's so many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
They're going to let us test it during the beta as well. Don't forget that the last beta, and then they're giving us that. Yeah, they're giving us the actual turtle to play around with. There we go. Here we go.
Where we're going to be able to play this is very important as well.
Yeah.
And you kind of already talked about this, but world versus world. I know a couple of my friends are very big world versus world players. I myself am not super accustomed to the game mode, but from what I've heard is that they might want something new for world versus world, a new type of siege, or perhaps like some siege revamps to feel a little bit more invested. And I think if the siege turtle in world versus world, of course the balancing is always in the back of my mind, but I think it'd be really cool if the siege turtle did maybe more damage to walls and castle walls and gates, for it to be like a new type of siege. And how they might actually fire these cannons, we have to keep in mind the Dragon Jade. Could this be another resource mechanic like Warclaw, where the Warclaw, you like throw the spear and it uses some of your resources to do damage to the gate? Could we have to harvest Dragon Jade in the world versus world maps, and then we can actually fire them at the castles? So there's a lot of things they can do. And of course, it hasn't been confirmed that it is in world versus world. It's just kind of talked about that it could be a possibility. And I think it'd be a really great addition to the game mode.
Yeah, I agree. And there's loads they could do. You can build them like they could even just be separate entities. You know, like you've got Siege in the game. They could just be a different thing. Like you've got the actual mounts, but then you can like I don't know. There's loads of ideas. Right, we've really got to get them going on the rest of the podcast.
So much to go through.
But turtles.
I know.
But
Cool.
turtles.
But they're like,
I like turtles.
I do feel like there is probably going to be that build up for sure.
I do see a lot of questions in chat about them swimming. I guess it's kind of tough here because they are called turtles or siege turtles, right? But they do seem to be based off of a tortoise, which is different. And while turtles are like semi-aquatic, tortoises are not.
No, but like no, not that specifically. But like tortoises are like land, and then the turtle is like in the water, like in England anyway. But in
it's
America,
way more fun.
It was like a turtle.
It's way more fun to say tortoises. I just want to put that out there for you.
Tortoise.
That pronunciation got me. That gathered me.
A tortoise.
We talk about it for 10 minutes.
I just want to pinch your cheek when you say it like that.
Tortoise. It's just extra fun. I'm sorry.
Blastoise, yeah, from
but
Pokemon.
They are considered, they are land. So they live on land and oftentimes, well, I think they're on some kind of jungle-like areas, but desertous as well. So they probably will not be in water, especially with Skiffs being introduced and us having the skimmer would be my guess.
Can you imagine everyone's just going to be in the water? It should have just been like it's just water everywhere. There's turtles, there's boats, there's skimmers, there's
underwater
everything.
expansion.
That's right. Y'all wanted your underwater expansion.
There we go. That's it now. And talking about fishing, fishing is going to be a thing. Fishing is going to be in the game. Chat, are you excited for fishing? Is everyone here interested in fishing? Are you interested in fishing for a start? I mean, fishing is in a lot of MMORPGs from the beginning, and also, well, actually, a lot of the time it gets introduced. So, like, fishing is in, as far as Elder Scrolls Online is one of the games I fished a lot in, and actually is really, really, really awesome. New World has got fishing, which is coming out obviously as well, and there's tons of obviously World of Warcraft. Final Fantasy 14, does that have fishing?
Mm-hmm. It does.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever fished in that. But most MMORPGs actually have fishing. So like Guild Wars 2 came to it late, but my question is like, one, are you excited for fishing? And two, what is ArenaNet gonna do with a fishing
What are they
mechanic?
gonna do to make it different?
Yeah.
Because whatever they do, they make it different. They make it unique to Guild Wars 2. They add something, some mechanic or some way of doing it that's different. I think my only hope is that it's not just another gathering node.
Yes.
Like, I hope it's not just the same as going up, clicking, and you throw your, basically,
like mining.
Exactly, like mining, lumbering, harvesting. I hope it's different, especially because it's a mastery track. They're not just introducing fishing. It's a mastery that you're going to get to level up, and it's safe to say that the higher your mastery, the rarer fish that you can catch, or maybe there's certain spots that you can only fish in when you have the max mastery in order to collect all 200 fish. I'm not sure, but I feel like there's like those are obvious. And I feel like ArenaNet is so innovative that they're going to figure out some way to make it even more unique to them. What makes Guild Wars 2's fishing different than all of these other MMOs? There's going to be something that makes it unique.
Absolutely. I have an idea on this, and I'm curious to hear what you all think. I wonder if it's going to operate to some degree like toys that we have in the game, in the sense that like when you activate certain ones, you get the different skills. And as you like level up the mastery, you get more skills on the left-hand side. And maybe if you're gathered together on the right-hand side or something, you get certain buffs that you can do periodically to like buff the rest of your group. And so as you like, I really hope too, because PG, you're right. Like, I really don't want it. It's tough because you don't want like fishing in a game to be brutal where you're just like, please just give me the fish. But you also like, you don't want it to be so completely just like click that you don't feel like you're actually fishing. You want to feel a sense of victory when you land the big one, or when you do something that's exciting, or like, you've honed your skills, you and the fish, and you're ready, like it's the showdown and you're gonna do it. Like, I love that feel, or the idea of equipping different bait. Like there's all sorts of different ways that games have made this more fun. Red Dead Redemption 2, yeah, like Red Dead has some fun ideas.
Yeah.
With how they do fishing and things. I think that's pretty enjoyable. Obviously in ESO you have the different baits that you can equip, and there's different special like fishing holes that you can go to get specific ones and all sorts of stuff. But I could see it in Guild Wars 2 kind of operating like that, like using some of the things that they've done in like things like the drinking contest, and using things that they've done in toys, and then creating something where you have this mastery where you get new skills you can use while you're fishing to like reel the fish in or reel in harder fish, and then buffs that you can apply to a group, which would be really cool, I think.
I want to highlight your idea about when you're grouping, when you're fishing as a group, you get like special buffs or like a temporary skill that you can use to increase your chance of getting an actual fish. It would incentivize people to fish together, and even if you're fishing on your own, you see like a random player going by and you're like, hey, you want to fish in this spot together? It helps everyone out. So I think that's actually a really great idea that I didn't think about. And you know what,
that's gonna happen.
I would like to see
it. During the whole stream, they said fish together many times. Like it was massively hinted that you're gonna get a bonus when this happens. I think that Bernard just said it. I think that's literally what's gonna happen. I think you're bang on.
I mean, I hope it's something like that. I
think
also
it's very
much
much gonna happen. I think that's like just a really like it makes sense. Like the toy stuff on the left hand side. That's how I thought it was gonna. I didn't think about the right hand side with a player, but I thought you might just get one of those little, kind of not a boon, but like just one of the little kind of like your increased blah blah fishing ability across atop above the utility bar. But being able to use different buffs during that would be like you have more chance to catch this kind of fish in this time, or you all cheer and you scare the fish away or something. I don't know. That wouldn't be good for fishing. But like, something.
You scare away the dangerous predators.
Yeah. But there's so many different, like, they've got toys, and like you say, like that would be a perfect way to use that tech. And they've talked about it, and they've talked about guild halls, being able to fish in your guild halls and be together. And skiffs are big. They're not just for one person. Therefore, it looks like they're for as many people
as a party.
Is it five? Is it a party?
Is what it looks like. They have that's not confirmed.
I thought I heard somebody say 8 at some point. I didn't count for myself. 5 would make more sense to me.
There could be different sizes. I doubt it. You gotta sell the
maybe
skins,
they have a
right?
legendary skiff. What if you get a legendary skiff and you go through this legendary skiff collection? You have a guild boat that holds like 10 people.
I mean, that'd be amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I would love if they introduced that as like guild content that you could all achieve. Like that'd be so neat. I do love it. And I love what Peachy, I love what you brought up, the idea, and we talked about it throughout the podcast today, but the idea that Guild Wars 2 always does something different. And the fact that fishing, which is a lot of times kind of viewed in a lot of games as like a solitary thing you can do for fun. I love that they were like, what are the things that we remember from fishing? Spending time with each other and like going out together and talking and having fun. And I was so excited to see that, because so many times, and like we even saw this at the Heart of Thorns to some degree, right? The idea of like, how do we incentivize players to play together in an MMO? Instance content is one such thing. Maps or traversal of areas that are so dangerous you literally need a party is another. But all of those carry their own pros and cons, If there's something, or there's different types of content like these siege turtles or like this fishing endeavor that encourage people in a really different creative way to spend time together, have fun, make new friends, camp next to that person and be like, hey, you want a party so we can get the good fish? Like those things are they're so crucial to an MMO experience.
Think about that now. Can someone
it's
please
brilliant.
clip that? Someone please clip that. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just brilliant.
Dodgy deals in back alleys, interior. Do you want a fish?
Do you like this collab?
Back alley fish trade.
Yeah, back alley fish trade.
Lion's Arch.
Well, this is the question as well that I have. Is that because we're so in such a late stage of the game now, where you've always been able to just get to level 80, and then it's that kind of horizontal progression when you get to masteries. What makes fishing, if you level up fishing like a craft or like a harvest, like, because it's not a craft technically, it's a harvesting, I guess it's a harvest. It's something in between. I don't know. Because you're going to be using it in
how
food,
they integrate
right?
it into their existing systems.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah, if
like,
it becomes something with food.
Yeah, so if it's food, but also, and this is the thing I was thinking about, is that I feel like you're going to have to do things for achievements and everything else, but I feel like it's going to have something to do with what future weapons and armor, where you have to maybe trade exotic fish for different items that you might need to pick up, like have in the game for something specific for maybe a mount. I can see it having a little bit to do with the siege turtle, and maybe some other
You
parts of the
collect
game.
scales
Yeah,
to
I mean,
form armor.
and-
There's a lot you could do with that.
and there are games where you pick up things which aren't even fish, like, you know, weapons and you
Yeah,
know,
Boots.
and tickets and boots.
Boots was
and,
talking on Wood and Potatoes podcast.
It would be a bit
Boots was
random
like,
if Boots
what if you
popped
can
out.
collect? What if you can collect like misguarded boots, but the boots is like spelled with an extra T, and that's how boots gets implemented into the Guild Wars 2 game.
Yes.
oh,
That would
God.
be adorable. I
I'm
would get
all
every
for
boot.
it.
In the description, this boot, if it
You
had a
collect
face,
boots, you
it
collect
would
scrap.
be- It would be unfairly attractive and good looking. It'd be so good. I love
insulted
that. I
Boots'
think it's
face
great.
for RPG one stream, so that's probably why
We did,
we're going nice. We're going nice on the face.
I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I'd even love to see if they implemented for the other crafters gatherers, like different recipes for certain rods that you could make that might give you higher chances for this type of fish
Yeah.
or this type of thing, or would boost certain skills. That would be such a clever way to like also give the other like crafting classes something else to kind of contribute to this and like
Yeah.
generate some more market activity and stuff like that.
Artificer could be a good one for fishing rods, for sure. Artificer, maybe
Yeah.
something else as well. 'Cause I think fishing as well, it can't be like its own craft, but it can definitely be, like Cruz said, like, you know, with other craft, like something for all the other, or a couple of things, like artificer, and then cooking, and then, you know, even jewelry, like, and stuff like that, wearing something which will enhance your fishing, like on gear. I can see there being a fishing outfit that you
shark's
could
tooth.
craft. Yeah, I mean, I would love that, to have like Final Fantasy 14, like New World, like other games where you literally have these items that can boost you. Give me a fishing outfit that I can craft. Give me some proper role play. Get me in there, full immersion. I want a hat. I want a net.
Oh.
I want the whole damn outfit. Give it to me. Like, I will craft that, and I will be the best fisher interior ever. And I promise you it will happen.
Oh no, Jebro's
Fishing
going for
is
the gold.
amazing.
He's
I-
going for the
You can
end
have
game
tournaments.
fishing
Someone said
meta.
it.
Look
Like,
at that
oh
rare
my God.
catfish in Ascalon.
World of Warcraft has fishing
Mr.
tournaments.
Whiskers.
Games have fishing tournaments. And Final Fantasy
Ooh,
14 has as well,
sushi.
hasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Zakria. Oh,
Wow,
someone
so I'm talking
mentioned
about
sushi and I'm
eating
getting so
food.
hungry. I'm
Competitive fishing.
hungry.
The new PvP mode.
But like,
This
yeah,
is
it could
really,
be.
really.
The new
It could
PvP
be. Can
mode.
you imagine though? I would so do that. I would so cast that. I'm not even joking.
No, wait. What if they did a new PvP mode, but it was like the anime Shokugeki no Soma Food Wars, where you have to like face off against one another in like a Food Wars arena or like a sushi chef or something? It'd be so good.
You
Okay,
mean
I'm
like
sorry. I'm sold on
overcooked or
this.
something? If it was like overcooked, I'd do that. But that's
Cooking
this,
tournaments.
This seems a bit like out of the scope of fishing right now.
Yeah, well, I'd be very excited.
That's
Do you
the
have
next
to just-
expansion.
I have
That's
to take
the
a
next
second.
one. Okay.
Is there actually a legendary catfish in Ascalon named Mr. Whiskers, Peachy?
I forget if that's the exact name, but they did say that there was a fish, that was
Yeah.
like
Something
the
like that.
rarest fish. I think it was a catfish. Was it Mr. Whiskers? Who remembers? They said it on the live stream.
On the live
Should I
stream, they didn't
find
do
it?
Mr. Whiskers.
Yeah.
Right, let's go to the
Oh, Whiskers.
the fishing
Whiskers.
bit.
I
Yes.
miss it. That's amazing.
Yes, is the most elusive
I think
fish
they're
in the
definitely
game.
There definitely will be a collection with this, and hopefully you get like a nice
Oh, yeah.
fishing title and like a special fishing rod.
Mhm.
So fishing as a mastery, everyone has brought up such great points that I really didn't think too much about. When they announced fishing, I was kind of like, oh, that's nice for the people that would like it. But I didn't really think about how fishing as a mastery, as not just like a job or some crafting thing, how fishing as a mastery can really like expand into all these different
Yes.
areas.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
now
the
you-
thing is only
you guys are getting me super excited for fishing now.
only if they utilize it in that way and they want to do it that way, because they can just be like
Yeah,
some games where it's its own very small micro community, and it's something where, you know, players will really enjoy this one thing and it doesn't cross over, because sometimes people don't like to add that kind of stuff. So it really depends, but I feel like they're going to do that. I feel like it would just be awesome.
It makes too much sense.
That's my literal
like
word.
whole skins in the gem store. It just makes too much sense.
Exactly. Like, you know, it's epic
Ooh,
skins.
we're gonna see
for
so many fishing
rods.
skins,
Sure.
skiff skins.
sure.
The
We already
gem
know
store
there's
is gonna
skiff
be
skins.
popping.
Oh, yeah. We already know there's one. Yeah, exactly.
So
The
order
free
that
version.
ultimate edition and get your half off 4,000 gems.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. And then buy it with
Be
those
sure to
gems.
use your favorite partner's link.
Do it. If you're not using a creator's link to purchase the expansion,
You're doing something
I will
wrong.
be very, very sad and
It's
upset.
very mean.
It doesn't have to be mine. It can be anyone's.
Yep.
But also everyone's. Actually, buy 4 copies right now. One copy each person on this podcast. You should do it though.
Giveaway.
Giveaway. Or give away my code? Wait, what? Okay, so fish all over the world as well. That's awesome. So they said pre-expansion as well, which is very, very awesome. Colin said in the preview, multiplayer fishing. Yes, we've kind of already. We think it's going to be everywhere. It's got to be everywhere, right? It's not just on a skiff. It's not like you're just on a skiff to fish,
No,
right?
they've shown concept art of you of
They have?
sitting on the dock. Yeah.
Cool.
Now, my biggest question is it going to be nodes or like an area, or is it
Yeah.
literally anywhere there's water? I kind of doubt it's so open that it's literally anywhere there's water, but I hope it's not like these tiny little nodes.
I
'Cause, like-
imagine probably near docks there'll be smaller areas, but I hope, considering that we have all of these additions to water travel and underwater content and stuff, I hope in the expansion they expand the sea areas and we can go out and have like designated large areas where you can get like better fish, and then within those you have like either more smaller sections that pop up every once in a while where you can get like a better chance of getting a rare fish.
That.
So I would really like that, Peachy, but I think we did see by the coast on the docks, we saw a smaller node area, and I think maybe depending on
right
how
there.
long it takes to get a skiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
Right
a fishing rod though? Is that a fishing
Of course,
rod?
they're
with-
already fishing, so
Yeah,
that could be
yeah.
like the ripple from
It could be.
the little bobber.
That's true.
I'm not
That's
sure, but we do
I think
see
it'd be nice even
multiple-
before the skiffs, though, to be able to access these near
Yeah.
coastal areas.
Yes. They could also do something where, because I'm trying to think of like player congestion as well, because like
Yeah.
Peachy, when you were describing, you know, like there's like one spot and at launch it's gonna be like 5,000
Oh my
people
gosh.
gathered around it.
I mean,
like,
there will be.
um,
Yeah.
It could be really interesting if they do something where within like certain bodies of water, it will like, depending on you or the group that you're a part of, like people maybe get put together in some kind of not like a mini instance, but there's something that like labels you all together, right? And then as you go out, there's a chance within whatever areas that these will spawn for you in like different places, so that it would kind of spread groups out where it wouldn't like be everybody at one spot that's the only twinkle spot on the map, but would be like, you know, oh, in general, like this is a spot and you can go there. Or like maybe as you're going through and you up that mastery, there's something that's like the equivalent almost of like a controller shake or some visual that appears that's like
Oh.
fish are nearby my fishing senses, and then you kind of like know that that like you should stop there. Or I think something like that would make it, that would make more sense to me, in that it would, I think, help alleviate some of the cluster and maybe like spread them out a little bit depending on who you were. And I love, Kroof, your idea of like the rare ones spawning periodically, so you need to kind of prowl the waters to find where one might have popped up or something. I think that's really neat, especially since they confirmed you can play instruments on the boat, which is amazing. Yes.
Who's gonna be the designated bard?
I'm so ready to like fish with friends and have people just jam out and do sea shanties and stuff. It's gonna be so fun. But I think something like that would make sense to me. But they could also just use their existing node system, you know, which I could see them doing. But I hope they
Yeah.
don't. I hope it's a little varied.
In the screenshot
so.
that's on screen right now, you see the ring, you know, around the bobber, and you can see other docks, and there's no ring there. So I'm hoping
I think
that
that's
it's
you're
not
right.
nodes.
Yeah, I think that's the bobble. I think that I
True.
feel
Yeah.
like that's there is someone fishing there, kind of the immersion of that kind of happening. Because otherwise, I'm not gonna lie. Like if it was a node, it would kind of suck. I'm not gonna lie. That would
Yeah.
that would have to be done in a way which is very, or like by the way, this art, some of my favorite art of the entire thing.
Oh,
That was just
so cool.
awesome.
It's so
like,
good.
awesome. I would have that on my wall easily. Like,
You know,
that is
everybody's
nice.
gonna
Cool.
everybody's gonna be getting commissions of them and their friends, just like in that
For
shot.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely. I
God.
bet you the thing we talk about the most in this podcast is fishing. I was like, I'm prepared for fishing talks for like so long.
I was not prepared for fishing. Like that was the last thing I was expecting from this expansion. That
Yeah.
blew my mind.
Agreed. I thought of all the feature we'd be getting, it would not be this. Like, and it makes sense to pair it with skiffs, but
It
like,
does.
I just didn't think we would be getting it. I mean, I guess too, because we're in the ocean area. Yeah, I guess it should have crossed my mind, but I didn't really
Yeah.
think it was something that was on the community's,
Yeah.
checklist. But I think it's something that they thought like this would be really fun, and a lot of other games have this, and it suits the zone
Ooh.
and other things we want to do.
They said that they've been wanting to add fishing for like forever. It sounded like since the launch of the game, they've
Yeah.
wanted to make
Yeah.
fishing happen, and it just never worked out.
It's
So this is
interesting
super
that-
cool to have this realized.
Come Cantha, it's the perfect time, the perfect setting.
Well, yeah.
And I
that's
hope
it.
we get to see more sea stuff. I hope they expand the maps to
I
be
wonder,
able to really utilize
I do
this
wonder,
mastery.
this shot that's on stream as well right now is less of the ring. So that
Yeah.
makes me think that
Yeah.
that node, like if that ring was a concern to be a node, it makes me feel like it's not. Or they've effectively mined it
or-
already. I don't know.
Or
There
it's
are
an
varying
indicator
intensities.
Yes, there could be varying intensities or like an indicator of when you need to pull it out. If
Yep.
the ring like shrinks to a certain point or like pulses to a certain point.
Oh yeah.
Mini games. I'd be
Oh,
down.
it's going to be a mini. It has to be a mini game. It has to be a mini game.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I would love it.
You can't just go there and it happens. No.
Just,
No. It has. It's Guild Wars 2. This is arena. It's not going
we need
to
that
be you just go
interactive
there.
end game action combat.
I
Coming
actually
to fishing.
played a New World has like a really solid fishing system. You basically have so many different baits, like you had cheese and stuff, and then when you hit the so you hit the basically you throw out your line, you have to hit it like on the specific spot to get like the max line out, like at the perfect time. And then they've got this fantastic mini game where you just hold down the mouse button to wind in, and as you are, the tension in the line gets higher and higher and higher, so you have to stop every so often depending on the fish you're catching as well, and like the weight of it and the speed and everything else. This tension like just keeps going, and sometimes it can snap and run away, so swim away, run away. But like it's just this really intricate like mini game that is always really engaging and different each time, and it's very good. And it's probably the best fishing I've actually experienced. And I'm hoping that Guild Wars 2 is going to do something similar, because there's a lot of potential in this. I'm very excited for fishing. Like fishing is exciting. I don't know why.
Yeah, if the actual way of reeling in the fish is super fun and its own game within the game, then that's key. Like I am in the minority, and I really love fishing in Stardew Valley. A lot of people find it extraordinarily difficult. But I love it because the mini game part of it is fun, and the more you upgrade your pole, you can tell how it increases your chance of catching it. It makes the game easier if you work hard to get a good pull. The different bait that you use does different things to help you catch the fish in different ways. So like I think it's really a really engaging mini game.
Cool. Okay.
I really liked it too. People hate it so much.
Hate it.
I think it's
love mini
fun.
games.
Mixed
I love
feelings.
it.
Okay.
I played Dead by Daylight, so I have to have really good timing, and some of those skill checks are so like really hard to get, but it's so satisfying when you do. So I'm 100% down for sometimes challenging mini games.
I was like Dead by Daylight and fishing. I was waiting for the link.
That's what I was
I was like, yeah. I mean, I
Nuclear
guess you hang
fisherman.
stuff up on a hook.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's. And then the mini game, I was like, okay, yeah, cool.
fishing for
clicking the thing.
corpses.
Yeah. Yeah, Griff is like, yeah, I really want to find Soldier. Sorry. Okay, fishing has been done, I think. I think we're good, because that then takes us into skiffs, because skiffs are very cool. Boats, small leisure, pleasure cruise boats, things, not cruisers, but like skiffs. I mean, you can be whatever you want.
Oh my God, there's so going to be a love boat skin. Are you kidding
Yeah, of
me?
course there
What
is,
if Marjorie and Casimir go on a boat and they have a lovely evening? Oh,
What if they get married on a boat? So I'm getting way ahead of myself.
No, that would be the ultimate ending to this expansion, and I would love it. We all sail up and they get married in some kind of in-game event. Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
I want it
So
so
we
bad.
had an NPC wedding in Guild Wars 1, so it's possible.
I like how we
They've
started talking
earned
about boats and now we're on marriage. Like, how did that
First
happen?
comes boats,
You
then
said
comes
cast Joy.
marriage.
Sorry, it's all
It's okay, but that's the thing though. Like, you know, if you're thinking about all these different things, it's something that people, you know, are fairly excited about. I would think. So what is so first of all, so I feel like I am a little tiny bit confused about skiffs right now as they kind of exist or will exist in the game. I said it during the stream as well when I saw the footage, and I was like, they're gonna have pathing. And I don't think
I remember that.
I don't think they will, but there is a little feeling that will be a thing. And I'm not sure how this is going to work. Is this going to be more of and I don't think there's going to be any wrong or right answer, it's all opinions. And chat, join in, please. Is this going to be more of a mount on water that you kind of pull out with, like, where you can run around freely? Is this going to be a thing which is like, or are you going to be slotted into different places on the boat? Like, is there going to be positions for fishing? Are there going to be positions to be seated? Is it just going to be free for all? You're going to just go wherever you want on the boat? But the way we were talking about it as well, it sounds like, you know, there's going to be a certain amount of people who can be on this boat as well. So it's like, and do you want other players like to just randomly be jumping all over your boat without, like, you know, your consent, essentially? I mean,
It has to be free for all. It would be Guild Wars 2 if it wasn't free for all. There's no way they would limit you. Not when we have mounts.
Yes.
That can go anywhere and do anything.
I want random people climbing on my siege turtle and telling me my character looks ugly, okay? That's what I want to be in End of Dragons.
we're talking about Skiffs group.
You do you.
Aim higher for yourself.
No, but
in the live stream. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you can go. Yeah.
They mentioned in the live stream briefly something about putting up your mentor tag and having people climb on your siege turtle. I'm assuming, but they also have to limit it so that, like you said, you can't be going on your boat and random people are coming on your boat. So I think that you're only going to be able to go on someone's boat if you're in their party or squad, unless you put up a mentor tag, and then possibly anybody can come on you, or maybe it's like squads where there's like an open and closed setting, like anyone can join, or because they already have that technology for squads. Maybe there's anybody can hop on my boat.
Well, so you're saying like you have to be in a party to be able to use the different parts of the boat, like the seating or the section to fish. Is that
maybe.
kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess like someone. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna agree with you. I think Peachy's. I think this is totally what it's gonna be. That there'll just be some kind of like invisible little wall over the boat or something, and you can only. Like, kind of like in 14, right? So if you're in a group together, you can like right click on a mount to do this thing called Ride Pillion, which is like the weirdest command to tell you that you can get on your friend's mount. But you can ride the pillion. And if you do that, it'll like cue you into a seat. My guess is that either they'll do something. Yeah, so either they'll put you in something like that, or it'll just like put you on the boat and then you can just kind of move on it as though it were like a little platformy kind of deal, but that other people that aren't can't like choose to get on it. And I totally agree with what you said, Peachy. I think it'll be something that is just like free for all, where you can just go around. I think the only reason that they maybe haven't labeled it a mount is because it is specific to water, as opposed to all their mounts, which can navigate technically either terrain. It's just that this will only be in water, and you probably have to like go up to water to pull it out of your magic pocket and then put it in the lake.
I wonder if you have to, like, I mean, this is the thing as well, like, how are we going to be able to, because it's a mastery as well. I feel like you're going to be building this thing from scratch.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
I'd be down.
I didn't think that.
I think putting more time investments into masteries is probably a cool thing. But to touch back on the skiffs, I think because I would agree with Peachy and Rook that it's when I heard of Skiffs initially, I was like, oh, so we're getting 2 mounts. And from everything that they've shown, particularly because we are getting skins for it, that probably led me more in the direction that they are more mount-like. Because I don't think they go to the extent of adding skins if this was just like a one-track feature.
They have to have stuff which
this one destination
put skins on in every single expansion. Like the gem store is where they make their money. This is the prime. Like expansions are a thing. It's a very short period of time that they get the earnings out of that. Very short. So the main thing in them is they have to put content in which is going to produce some kind of revenue for the gem store. And it's like, you know, skins. You don't have to have them. They don't add power. Boom. Awesome.
And they already have the skimmer technology, so you know they're definitely able to freely maneuver on water. And I think they'd probably have the foresight that people would be maybe a little, you know, disappointed that you're not able to freely maneuver. Track things can work really well sometimes in like, you know, sequenced coded content, but for such an open world game and a free feeling of Guild Wars 2, I definitely think it's going to be just like get on your skiff at the dock and just go out wherever you want.
Yeah. Someone's talking about Valheim. That's actually quite a good point. There's different points in the boat where there's like a couple of seats where you can kind of just sit. So you can have that choice of actually being in a location on the boat and just sitting there, or you can just kind of go free and, you know, just fish or whatever. It's going to be very interesting too, because when we're visioning this, I was imagining a peachy party but fishing on one of the skiffs, and I'm like, it would actually be sad if you couldn't fit all of your people on there that you wanted to fit in the boat.
We're gonna have to have multiple boats.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
It's gonna
just
be
an armada.
Party,
fishing navy. The Peachy Navy.
The Peachy Navy.
I actually think the Peachy Armada sounds more dangerous. The Peachy Armada is here. No, watch out! All the fish are gonna get absolutely wrecked.
Fish are gonna party. Okay.
Turtles by land, skiffs by sea, peachy party all the time.
Confetti and peach pit.
Something
to do with all of those sports.
I like it, Admiral Peachy.
From our tree.
You need to get some art going for this. You need to get your artist on this now. You need to get the hats. You need to get the fishing rod. You need all the things. All of us do, actually, to be honest.
True.
Anyone else have feelings about skiffs? Feelings.
No, indifferent.
I'm just very paranoid that this is going to go on for a long time.
I do have feelings for skiffs that I haven't shared. And I've been looking for the right time to tell them, but
we appreciate you sharing.
I love you, Skiffs. I've loved you since the moment I learned about you on Tuesday, and I looked into you and painted on eyes.
Yeah, the skin looks actually very
I have
good.
nothing else. I have nothing else to add.
Okay, they're cool, but like it really is just like we haven't had much info about them. Whereas like the Siege Turtle, you can kind of assume some things from Guild Wars, right, from the original. But this is just like, you know, I'm not too sure. What does it say? Official site, your personal skiff is your home away from home on the waves. Explore, relax, and ferry your whole party. Drop anchor to fish, walk around, and more. So that does give you a little bit of an indication. So the anchoring and the walking around, it says, so you can walk around on your boat. So there is just a lot in that. I could have read that earlier. Apparently I didn't, so you know that would have been helpful. A unique type of movement that allows characters use skiff. Wow, this has not been checked at all. From one point to another is available exclusively through Guild Wars 2P End of Dragons. That's a very good point as well. This is going to be an End of Dragons feature. And actually, fishing then, is that going to be? That's got to be game wide, right? But they're just introducing it with End of Dragons.
Well, it's an End of Dragons mastery track. So you will have to own End of Dragons and level up that mastery track just as Path of Fire with mounts, Heart of Thorns with gliding,
add it as a core Tyria mastery. But don't you need to buy expansions to even unlock Masteries?
They did say.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you need to buy. You would need to buy something anyway.
Yeah, that's actually interesting.
The 5 Masteries are exclusive to End of Dragons. Now, once you unlock it with End of Dragons, you can fish anywhere in Tyria.
Yeah.
But to unlock it, you need to level up and get, because you need to get the End of Dragons Mastery the actual little mastery points.
So how does that?
I love this.
Is that good? Is that good? Is that a good thing?
It's good.
Is it a bad
I
thing?
think so because
Yeah.
this gives veteran players a direct reason to go back to beginner maps in a time when a bunch of
There you
new
go.
players are going to be getting into the game. And I mean, of course, I think people obviously, like in a lot of other games, fishing is probably a part of just your basic crafting gathering. So a lot of people, want to do that. But with the unique twist that they're bringing on it in Guild Wars 2 and the fact that people really do get invested in these masteries, and it is like a big part of the overall game, I don't think it's going to be the end all be all that people come to it in End of Dragons. Like, it doesn't honestly take all that long compared to other story driven MMOs to get through the story if you were putting a little bit of time in. Just by the nature of how it's structured. So I don't think it'll be too prohibitive, and especially because you can technically jump between the expansions. If people want to unlock it, I guess they could just skip to End of Dragons and do it. You're probably going to be real confused and not know what's happening, but you could do it. But it's like, it's something
Interesting.
like that where they could always introduce that track early on. You could pick it up, and it's such a great incentivizer to get players on those other maps, and especially some of the maps that maybe aren't as active as some of the other meta maps and stuff like that.
I would like to see it though as a thing that you can access as a new player, because I feel like that would be very cool. Like it would be a thing where you're like, and maybe if you have the expansion as well, like you can do that, and it can be part of that End of Dragons, I guess, as well. But then, like you say, like it's a more end of game, like end game thing for veterans is very good as well. There is something where I'm like, it would be a shame if you couldn't fish from the beginning of the game and focus on that as a skill, especially as a brand new player. I think that could be a thing where I'm like, that might feel pretty good and different.
I think
I don't know.
It
Though.
would.
Wars
We've already
2.
gone 8.5 years without it, so
Yeah.
I mean,
We're good.
that's
Y'all
true.
have to
Good without
wait
it
your
from the
turn.
beginning.
But things
I
are
think-
changing, breaking their own rules.
Guild Wars 2 is such an open game. They don't often lock many things behind expansions, other than, of course, the story and the maps. But I don't fault them, and I think it's probably a little bit smart to have a feature that is tied to the expansion, of course,
They have to.
to incentivize people to play the expansion. Now,
buy
I don't
it,
know
yeah.
if fishing is
They
I
gotta
don't know
buy
if
it.
fishing is like the universal answer to get the best revenue. But I think there are certain things that
Pretty good,
are
though.
perfectly fine, like locking behind expansions. And
Yeah.
keep in mind, they've already now opened up new player access to mounts by, having siege turtles. So even if you are a free-to-play player, you get to at least experience what it's like to have a mount if you befriend people with mounts.
you can
So
also
Open things up a little bit. Yeah.
right as a free to play player, can you do the renting the mounts during the holidays in the cities?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's that
Pretty sure
too.
you can, if they're able to get
It
there.
tease
Yeah.
ya. Maybe you could rent a fishing pole.
You could probably rent a
Oh,
pole
they
and
tease you, say,
rent,
"Hey."
rent a skiff and pole.
Yes, there you go.
That would be cute. And then you could still do it in those zones. Like maybe at some of those lakefronts and things, they have something set up like that. So you could still, as a new player, go do it. You just couldn't actually level up the masteries and things. I think that would be a brilliant way to just kind of like make it still accessible and then let people look forward to
incentive?
being able to actually do it anywhere at any time and maybe get some of the rarer fish. Yeah.
This is the thing, like I think there's definitely an issue with the guild, and we'll talk about this again maybe on another stream, and how the new player experience is going to look with End of Dragons. But like there's a lot here where you like look at all the stuff we have in the future that you could get your hands on, and like how can we make that a better experience to traverse through, because there's some work there that really needs to be done. And I feel it in my bones that they're going to be in my old bones. Sorry, they're going to be they've got to do something with it, because there's another expansion, there's more masteries, there's got to be a way to get them through this, because a lot of other games are doing it as well. You've got Elder Scrolls Online where you can basically start wherever you want. You've got Final Fantasy where they've really tried to streamline that experience as much as I think they possibly can right now. I don't think there's much else they can do. But there's so many other games where they literally boost you through, like Star Wars The Old Republic. You just play the main story quest to continue through. That's the best way to level, but otherwise you're out level. You can go back and do the side quests, of course. But, many MMOs are doing that because of the sheer amount of content. They want to get you to the end. World of Warcraft completely redid their leveling system. They went from 120 to 50, 60. whatever it is now, with having a new player island, it gets you to 1 to 20. So like there's all these different ways, and I feel like Guild Wars 2, I feel like there's going to be something there, hopefully. I mean, we know, obviously they've got tomes, they've got all these ways for you to level up. I always found tomes a bit...
I have so many tomes in my bank.
Yeah, I don't like that way of leveling up, in all honesty. It's not been my favorite, but...
Only for key farming. Get you instantly to level 10.
Hey,
That's true.
there's always a silver lining.
Yes, I like them for alts. I think they're brilliant
But
for using them, like
completely,
saving them and then using them on alt characters. If you just like shuffle them around in your bank or shared spots, like that's what I really like the leveling tomes for. They're kind of like leveling experience boosters in ESO. Although obviously you don't get like a direct level from them in ESO, but they give them away about the same.
There isn't many games that do that, like giving you, other than like I think, the boost to level thingamajig. Yeah, I know World of Warcraft, you get that boost as well. I don't know if Final Fantasy 14 does. I can't remember.
No, you don't really. You don't like.
You can get
you
the
just
MSQ
level through
done, can't you? Like
yes, the main story quest itself naturally levels you to about that, and then there are like passive buffs you can get from your equivalent of a guild, which is a free company, and other like food, like little food buffs you can eat that give you experience gain, but you don't like oftentimes just get items from them that are like have 50% plus experience, have 5 levels. Like they just don't give those to you. They're just like, enjoy the story, 500 hours, and I love it. I love every second of the story. But they kind of naturally go through and adjust the experience you get from playing that story, which they have upped at many thresholds, and then give you different gear sets so that it's not like you really need that. The story itself kind of boosts you through, at least on your first class. So
right, we're gonna move on because I feel like I keep going back to fishing as well.
So many things to cover.
Oh, that's true.
This announcement was chunky.
Talus did bring up a good point that there is technically like a level skip that you can buy as well, but I don't usually advise that to new players.
Yeah,
it's
I wouldn't
more for
either.
like
that would be awful.
Same with the level 80 boost. I would maybe hold off a little bit before you get some
yeah, and there's going to be, I think that's in End of Dragons as well, I'm assuming. So it's if you're playing Guild Wars 2 for the first time, I mean, I know each story expansion is its own story, but I think there's definitely a lot from the previous expansions and story that you would be the benefit and probably accentuate and just make it better, basically. I'm trying to think of a good word. Couldn't think about it. So make it better was the phrasing I went with.
It works.
Okay. It does bloody well work, I'm telling you. Generation 3 legendary weapons, 16 in total, land weapons, and also awesomeness is gonna be had potentially. Now there is some interesting stuff about these, which I'm gonna kind of inform everyone about. So if you've never played Guild Wars 2, you're listening to this, you're watching this live, or you're watching it on YouTube, legendary weapons, obviously you can double click them and customize them and get your stats that you want to be applied to that item specifically. You can go berserker, you can go minstrels, do whatever you want, and you can change it willy-nilly. And now with the legendary wardrobe, armory, wardrobe, I guess it's a wardrobe as well, you can put it on all of your characters as well. Very cool that they did that. But there is some controversy, I would say, maybe, about the legendaries and what they are going to be like. Because previous legendaries, Generation 1 and 2, were very unique in their own look and effects and ways. I guess ways of getting them sometimes, but basically you're farming Generation 1, you're farming for like half of Generation 2, and Generation 2 beginning legendaries, obviously you had that achievement journey that you went through, which I haven't done yet, and I'm going to do on stream soon, which I'm looking forward to. But these are all very similar in look. Very similar in look, very similar in theme. So it is, the precursor is going to be the Aurene, representing young Aurene, and then the legendary itself represents a grown-up Aurene. But this is every single weapon. I will show it on screen as well very, very, very close, very soon. What is the initial thought of getting 16 legendaries on launch? How this is right now, and I think Truth is like on the edge of their seat, maybe potentially thinking about this as they're saying yes, do all I'm talking. I sense there is some feelings Not necessarily bad. Like, I'm not saying whether or not I think this is a bad thing or not. Every single time I bring up subjects, like, this is always to incite conversation. And if we have feelings about this, it's important to talk about it. So, Proof, what's going on? What are you thinking?
Sorry, there's a passing siren. This particular talking point and feature of the expansion has, in my opinion, been the most controversial, where there's been a lot of talk around their decision to do a legendary set.
Yeah.
Not just one legendary with the unique look. They've decided to do all of the weapons have a very similar theme. And I gotta be honest, I have oscillated between the two realms of this is really sad, and then also, hey, this is something new and interesting, and we're getting a full set of legendaries on release.
Yeah.
I really don't. I'm torn. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little torn.
That's okay.
I think from a fashion wars perspective, I love getting new and cool skins. It is slightly disappointing that we're not getting many unique looking weapons. We're getting things that look very similar to each other. However, I do think there is an argument to be had that if you really like the theme of Oreen and you really like the color palette, this gives you an opportunity to pick a weapon that you really like. Because some people, you really could like I've said this before, you could really like the look of kudzu, but it's only the longbow. Instead, with this legendary set, you might really like the vision of the themes of Oreen. So now you can choose the longbow, you can choose the staff, you can choose what suits your palette and your characters. So I think there is a positive aspect to this.
Right.
But in the same regard, it also has a higher chance of being not, in people's desires, visually speaking. There could be a large group of people that don't like the visuals of Oreen.
I like the way you're saying this. Not in the desires of people.
Like in the desires of what they want their character to look like in terms of their legendaries. So you could have it really is a risk to go a full legendary set with just one aesthetic, because there could be a whole group of people that don't like it. And at that point, they may not go for any of the legendaries. So I think it's bold, but I want to highlight that we still have 2 other sets of legendary weapons you can go for. And I think with the expansion, I think I'm gonna give a bit of leeway. I think it's okay to try something new in terms of a legendary collection. At least try it once. And if it doesn't work out and it's a really, if it's more of a negative reaction from the community, they might course correct in future expansions down the line. So that I'm so I can see both sides, and it's really hard to kind of nail a specific answer for this for me.
I got you. I think the maybe there's 5 of us. Maybe there's 5 of us out there that when I saw this, I went, oh my God, all my dreams are coming true. I was so happy. Because I guess for me, I absolutely acknowledge every single thing. Proof, I think what you said was so well stated, and you are correct. Those, to me, are the 2 big sides of this. And I absolutely acknowledge it. But for me, this feels like an incredibly pivotal set of legendary weapons, right? This is the culmination of our draconic arc. And with that, all the other legendaries that we've had in the game so far are weapons that were part of other people's legends, right? This was a bow that became legendary because of this, or this. This was that, which became legendary. This set is our legend. And in order for that to be something that we've inherited within the context of the story, alongside Oreen as her
Jesus
champion...
Christ, Bird of Chess. Stop. I'm going to interrupt you rudely and just be like... Just keep talking forever. Can you do the introduction for these weapons? I'm just like, Jesus Christ, you're selling me this. I'm sorry. This is awesome. Keep going.
It's great messaging.
I feel really rude now, by the way.
No, you're not rude at all. I just honestly, while I was listening to everybody else talk about it, this is what dawned on me, because to me, this is our legacy, right? This is our legend. We are no longer just picking up somebody else's legend. This is literally a weapon given to us by the dragon that stands at our side. And so if they had made this something, or that we've manifested, or that because of our power and connection.
That's a genuine question. I mean, it's like, it can be.
We'll find out.
we'll find out. But I mean,
more to come on next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
but if we think about this, right, and we're thinking about that, like a lot of people in the past really enjoyed legendary weapons that had that story affiliated with them. Well, if you can't create individual stories for every weapon, what can you do? Create a narrative that would be a dovetail off of what's already in the game that would support the framing of this, a single story for your legend. And I just love that, because if we had gotten a single one of these and it was like, here's the Oreen axe, I would have been like, well, time to kill all my characters and make a new one.
Oh, but it just went the other way completely,
you know?
in a very short period of time.
But like, of course, people relate to Oreen differently, and I know that there are people out there who hate her and are wrong. And that's
totally wrong. It is.
And that's all right. And like, I acknowledge your wrongness. But no, I'm sorry. I'm kidding. Of course, everybody is allowed
all
to relate.
opinions and points of view, except the people are the wrong.
You are allowed to relate to this however you want. I tease. I'm joking.
I think
I'm
we
joking.
know you're joking, but I think it's because it was you as well. It's just even more hilarious.
But it's just like for me, right, with this being the culmination of such a monumental thing, I think this is really thematically appropriate. And of course, maybe if they get feedback where people are like, I really don't like this, it changes for future ones. Or maybe we get a bonus set, right? Because they're only having to design one aesthetic, one story. So maybe we see another set come out at some point or something like that. But for me, I was so excited because I have never bought anything faster in my life than that Oreen outfit on the store. And I have been like ready to become Rainbow Sparkle Crystal Barf from the moment that they were like, dragon champions look like they're, dragons. And I was like, sign me up, dip me in glitter. And so I'm just ready for this. I just want it. And I'm the only, maybe there's 5 of us who feel this strongly.
There's many people who agree
You
with
are
you.
the sole reason I get 20 FPS in World versus World.
Sorry.
That is the
I
only
create
problem,
many
I
different
guess.
aesthetics. But I am so in love with Oreen and the role she's played. And it's so rare that in games, they let you like have such an important connection or like actually be connected to a creature like this in a way that's not just a passing vignette. And so for me, it's one of the things I love the most about this game. And I would die for Oreen. So I'm ready to go down fighting with these new
In the
weapons in
game, you
hand.
would.
In real life,
Yeah,
I would.
right, okay.
Would you pay $120 for a plastic statue of her?
Oh, yes. And Peachy, I know you already pre-ordered yours too, but the moment that happened live on stream, I was like, and I am opening up the store.
I'm this close.
And I am getting my credit card number.
I don't know. It's like
I am obsessed
electric
with
bill.
her.
I'm good.
Oreen.
I'm good.
Oreen will light your house for you.
Oh gosh.
Yes, that's true. We can save on money for electricity
Rook,
bills.
can you record all that back and like put it on the official website and let everybody know? Because
Honestly,
I mean, seriously, like I literally have never heard I've never heard that perspective. You're the first person I've heard make that point that this is our set. All of the other ones come from someone else's legend. And they even added lore in the game very recently with the Legendary Armory to give us more of the lore. And we have those 3 in Gen 2 that we do get to go on the journey and learn more about. And I think you're right. I think that we're going to get a journey like that for all of these weapons, because then they only had to design one. Because it was proven that designing them a different one for every legendary was too much. And 100%, like, I'm totally fine with that. I was happy when they started releasing them faster because they didn't have to design all these stories and quests and extra things. Even though those extra things are very nice. And here I was going to come along and be the negative Nancy of the group, even though I'm usually the eternal optimist and say, but like, you've convinced me. But I think for the people who aren't, Oreen stans, who are, still iffy about, this looks like a Black Lion weapon set, and, all of the negative things you hear about them all being the same. And I was kind of in the same boat. I missed that they were all going to be the same. And in the live stream, when my community said, that no, Peachy, they're all the same, I was like, you misheard. They wouldn't do that. And I was shocked when I found out that they were all the same. Now I know why. Now I get it. But I think something that this probably won't happen, but that could maybe save it for the non-believers, the non-Oreen fans out there, is if they made them dyeable.
Yes.
Which we don't have dyeable
and
weapons.
the collective gasp.
And it would be something that they could add, another bonus to getting legendary weapons, another reason to pick up the new expansion, the first dyeable weapons in the game. I don't think this is going to happen, but I think it could be a saving grace if you had, 1,000 different colors, you could make your legendary Oreen sword.
I mean, you can dye glows on armor and stuff, so I think the glow being a thing there is more of a possibility. The essence of
They've
whatever,
added it
maybe?
recently. They added it to back pieces. They've added dyeable back pieces.
Yeah. And I mean, we already have the dyeable, like the Oreen crown in game uses the same, it seems like crystalline texture. So I don't know how to do the programming.
Is that the unique? You should learn. I don't know. Learn another thing. Go to university. Who knows? Do it. I don't do it. It's very time consuming.
Quit content creation because Jebro told me to. I'm going to become a programmer.
Go to university and become a pro. No, just do it at the same time. Don't quit what you're doing. You're doing well.
Oh yeah, just multitask everything in life.
There's no way you could go to college and stream, Jebro.
I know. What kind of ridiculous person does that? God. A master's degree as well.
For the legendaries, I think there is also another aspect that could save this, and this being the acquisition of the legendaries. We don't have any information on how we will be obtaining these legendaries. And I think if they could save time by not having to create multiple art assets, they could maybe put more emphasis on the collection and the quest aspect of collecting these legendary weapons. So I know we're always just looking for more things to do in game, and maybe we can integrate this into strike missions or the PvP stuff or War versus World, however it might be. So we don't have all the information about these legendaries just yet, but definitely you really I think the framing of it is actually very important. And it was really well done. You actually kind of convinced me as well a little bit more.
Nailed it. Did one good thing.
I think there needs to be something which is I like the way you put that, definitely, Birchers. I definitely can see that being a thing, but I still don't see me going for them. And the reason is just literally because of that uniqueness. But that's
the reason
also not
is,
bad.
Jeff, no, it's okay. The reason is that you're wrong.
I am also wrong.
Wrong thing.
Get him!
And you should just get them, Jeb, and you should enjoy what Oreen has given you.
Also, there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with having shiny things that I don't like as well, because we can't like everything that's in the game. Like the skins wise, we just can't. People are like, oh, I don't like that thing. And it's like, sure, it does resemble a set of weapons that might be released in, or might have had the intention of being released as a set for the Black Lion Trading Company. Cool. But at the same time, you get the stats. You can, you don't know how you can get it. We're going to get a precursor token, which you can hand in for this weapon anyway, before. I feel like that's got, the easier access to this weapon. I feel like they're going to be easier to get. And I feel like they're going to be more accessible to players. And I feel like that's why they have gone for a simpler design across the whole thing, because I think they're going to give people the opportunity to get their first legendary with this expansion. That more casual players have not had the experience of doing before. And I think it's going to have a lot to do with the story as well. I think it's going to have a hell of a lot to do with the story. And if they give you a legendary throughout that, the story being a huge part of that, and then that ties well into what Berta Chess is saying, the legend, what happens to potentially Oreen at the end of this story, whether or not it's a furthering of them or an end of them or whatever. Sorry to say that. I know people get sad when I say things like that.
Don't.
Sorry. But I really think it's going to be a part of this story. You know, we get the precursor, literally the precursor before the expansion. Do you know what I mean?
By
It
playing
makes
Maureen's
sense.
story.
Yeah, and exactly.
The cycle of the dragons.
Like we've been doing. So like, you know, he fits in well with that theme. And so like that's why I think this set is the way it is, because it's on theme. It literally makes sense. And if it's gonna be part of that story, it makes sense to be a part of that. Look, if they don't go that way, I think it's still okay. But also, it means now that I wanted to craft the staff. Like I wanted to do Nevermore, but I was waiting to know what the legendaries were gonna be. I know that I want to craft Nevermore now, because that's the one, like that's more in theme with my character, because I wasn't sure it was going to come out. And I was like, okay, but now I've still got to wait to find out what engineer weapon is going to be a thing, because I use staff a lot, but like on my druid for like raiding, like healing and stuff, but also engineer is my favorite. So I need to find out. We won't be long. We won't be long. We'll find out soon. But
I'm ready to go. I've never wanted to get every single legendary, but I'm ready. And I'm going to do it. Thank you, Peachy.
Wow.
You can do it.
Thank you. For Oreen, I'm going to do this.
it might take you a while.
So
but
proud
you'll
of
get-
you.
I'll get a bonus cutscene at the end. I know it. If I get every single one, she'll come down. She'll be like,
Wait.
Rook, I'm personally very, very pleased with
crap.
you. I love you more than anyone. And I'll be like, thanks, Oreen. I did it.
You'll get a title that says Rook is my #1 fan.
Yeah.
There has to be a
Orion's
unique
number.
title. Unique
Has to
title.
be.
You get
Has to
100
be.
gold back.
I'm gonna
100
say
gold.
we're gonna move on, because we've been going for a while and we've got shitloads to talk about. Oh, there we go. I saw. Okay. Oh well.
Ding, 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 ding. Put $50 in my tip jar. Please.
Okay, so next time. Strike missions and encounters. A very, very quick talk about strikes and encounters. Strikes, they're adding challenge modes. Griff, we've been here for 2 hours.
You said it was going to be a long stream.
I mean, I did, but people have lives to lead. You know, I don't want to encroach on anyone's life. So, strike missions. Cameron Rich, who is a legend, been there for a fair while. He's a good guy as well. Is now it said the lead for Encounters team. So it sounds like there's a change in names of like their team. Like I think there was a raid team. I'm not sure if they ever said raid team, but I'm pretty sure they had like a raid lead.
I think it was. Yeah.
I think so.
I think there was a raid team.
And
Yeah.
now it appears that there is now an Encounters team, because it's changed over to strikes, and they're going with it. They're going with strikes. Strikes are their thing now. It sounds like it. It sounds.
I don't
like
agree
it.
with that.
I'm
I don't agree with
Hey,
that.
hey, wait, I've got to continue talking. I've got to
I do
continue
not
talking.
agree with
I
that,
know you
Jethro.
don't agree. I haven't finished talking. At the moment, but because of what Josh and Colin have said in their posts and coming back, and the fact that we've even got an expansion in the first place, because I didn't believe that was going to happen, and I don't think the ArenaNet did until, well, they've said they've been doing this for a couple of years, but I'm not convinced. But I don't think so. But like, I just feel like raids, I don't feel like they're done completely. But I feel like they're gonna, if they do bring them back, I feel like they're gonna be less. But I feel like strikes are gonna be a really good way for them to bring up that level. Obviously, they're doing it with challenge modes, but like they're introducing challenge modes with the expansion. I don't think they're going to be adding them to the old ones just by the way they worded it. But the difficulty of raids is going to be put into strikes, and I think it's their way of bridging the gap and having that as their new content and easier things to create for the future. So they've said the encounters in the actual story are going to be the bosses. This is what they've said already.
Yeah.
Okay.
How
Jeb,
do you feel about that bed of chess, apparently?
Oh, round
I
one.
have a lot of incredibly strong feelings about what you just said, and
Go.
I'm going to share them now. Okay, here's the thing. As a rational human being, do I first and foremost acknowledge that what you said could be a viable decision that they have made and that they may be doing going forward? Sure. But do I think that that's what is happening here? Absolutely not. At all, even a little bit. And this is why. We talked earlier about games drawing inspiration from other games, right? And it's funny because I was actually just talking about this on my stream this morning before we brought everybody over for the podcast, because a lot of people, I think, are again jumping on this rhetoric that I see all the time in the Guild Wars 2 community. The team doesn't care about X, they have forgotten it. And there are times there are times for me where in the process I think certain things morph and change. Like I truly believe dungeons became fractals because of other trends within MMOs that made that kind of instanced group scaling content something that would be desirable and efficient long term for the game. But I think that to me, this reads less as a we are replacing raids with fractals and more as a we are restructuring what we consider to encompass hardcore endgame content, but we are doing it in a way that falls more in line with other MMOs. And why I say this is because I play Final Fantasy XIV. So in Final Fantasy XIV, you have these instances called trials. They are super smart. It is a single boss fight. There's a normal mode, and then there is an extreme mode, which is considered part of the end game cycle. And they are the bosses you fight throughout the story at pivotal moments. They play into the overall narrative, and then they offer challenge and usually bonus mounts or other things if you go ahead and pursue the extreme version, of which like certain ones might be a little more difficult, a little bit easier, depending on where they are in the actual course of the expansion, right? And then, like many other MMOs, after the expansion is released, that team may release a few more of those trials and primals, but that is when we see the raid sets hit. And they come out, like in many other games, World of Warcraft, I mean, almost any game that has endgame raiding, we see raid wings released post-expansion. It's a way so that people can get their gear, they can get their stuff, they can get, usually in other MMOs, up to the new level cap. And then there is a break, and it allows the team to be able to focus on the narrative, the structure, the wings, whatever it is with an actual raid. Now, the reason that I really want to caution people from just saying that like ArenaNet doesn't care about raiders and doesn't care about hardcore content and they're replacing hardcore content with these, oh my goodness, this loud noise. The reason
I
I feel
wasn't saying
really
that, by the way. Just to like reiterate that's not actually what I was saying whatsoever. Like I was saying that there was an evolution to. I'm pretty much saying the same thing you're saying, but in different words. Like I don't think I will never think they don't care about their players because that's rubbish. Like I've never thought about that. I'm not that toxic. Yeah. But like it's not it's more of a. It's more of a like I understand like moving towards more of that Final Fantasy, it makes sense, but then also like discussing that openly, like is this a thing that is for Guild Wars 2 players anymore? Like is this a thing? Like it can be. I think
this is the smartest evolution to do this. Because the thing is that single bosses, one, you don't have to create all the landscapes, the set, the wings, etc. You can focus more on the actual balancing. They've gotten a ton of experience from the Icebird Saga with that. They've gotten a ton of feedback from it, right? And for people who enjoy endgame content, these kinds of things are literally just a single boss, just like you'd pop in to do your clear of whatever or something like that. They're just a single boss. So it's super smart. And I don't think at all, and the reason I flipped my hair and got real into it, Jeb, was because I thought you were saying that we
literally just said the same thing. Everyone was because you're saying the same thing, people.
No, I thought what you meant was that they were evolving raid content into only being these strike missions.
They can do it into whatever they like. I mean, I think it's more strikes.
I don't think that's it.
I think strikes are their thing, their own thing, but I don't know.
I think we'll see more raids come out just post-expansion. That's my final statement on this.
I think with End of Dragons, we definitely know that strike missions are coming.
Yeah.
I want them to make strike missions as if they were making and designing a raid. I want this to actually be like proper challenging content, considering we already have a set of strike missions that were messaged and their overall function was to be a stepping stone into raiding. Now that we're not necessarily getting a raid encounter anytime soon, haven't said anything about it. I want them to make these strike missions to satisfy that raiding itch. I don't want it to just be like a tank and spank and you're done. And I like that they are including challenge modes as well, because that further increases the difficulty. I'd like to see the challenge modes be for like the elite raiders to really sink their teeth into, but I think baseline, these bosses should be, fairly difficult. Now, what Rook is saying, I actually do agree. And I hope that perhaps after End of Dragons, I might have cut out, sorry. If End of Dragons releases a month or so after, they might, introduce another strike mission or something. But then after that, I would really like to see maybe one raid wing just in the expansion to kind of wrap up maybe a secondary storyline. But I want these strike missions to be designed as if they were raids.
You mean with difficulty and rewards in mind, or do you mean in terms of the length?
Yes, everything in mind.
Or is it even just like
considering that
Guild Wars 2 reimagines the raid? Why can't Guild Wars 2 also reimagine what a raid is and call it a strike mission and extend those into small encounters maybe?
In terms of, they already, this is another issue, that they have created so many different sectors of gaming, of endgame. We have fractals, we have raids, and we have strike missions now. And then I guess bounties were another feature that they were trying to focus on. The name of everything it's at this point, there's so many names that, you can apply it to whatever you want. But if you're going with strike missions, I want them to put a lot of care and attention to that single boss. And if it allows them to create more at a faster rate, I'm all here for it. As long as I get that sense of challenge and accomplishment. That's what I think is what a lot of people is really looking for.
Okay. Peachy, some thoughts?
My gosh, you guys nailed it. Strike missions have always been, as I like to call them, baby raids, because they are, you go from, there's PvE within the realm of PvE. There's your general PvE content. There's fractals, which is in fractals, ramp up the difficulty of the content. And then at the higher levels, you have those challenge modes. Strike mission, but they're not really a preparation for raiding, even though some fractals are kind of like raiding, where you go from one boss, there's like 3 big bosses, and then you have some in between stuff. So they mimic raids, but I still wouldn't call them like in preparation for raids. Strike missions, that was the whole point of strike missions, was to, all the way back to when they introduced the secret lair of the snowmen. That was a strike mission, and that was a baby raid. That was it simulates a raid atmosphere, and they have since delivered on releasing strike missions, slowly increasing the difficulty, and that's what that is. That's what they are. And I think with the encounters, they're still doing strike missions. They're just taking, like you said, they're not like a separate thing. You're taking encounters from the story, so you're going to get to replay these hopefully big iconic moments in the story. These encounters or strike missions are encounters. I agree with you, Crew, for there's a lot of different terms. You're going to start bloating with bounties and all this stuff, and it's like, what's what? And I already have to tell new players, like, well, there's dungeons, and then there's fractals, which are kind of like that, and then like there's raiding, and there's strike missions, which are baby raids, and there's a lot of explaining rather than just.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, and it starts to get bloated. So I'm hoping that there's a very simple way that they implement these new strike missions now, these encounters, to make it clear to players that that's what these are. Is your lead up to raids. That if you want to raid and you don't want to just jump into it, that's what these are. I think a lot of players don't quite understand, a lot of newer players don't quite understand that that's what these are meant to be. And I think that needs to be communicated a little better. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a way to communicate that this is your raid training before you jump into raids. And I absolutely think that there's going to be another raid after End of Dragons. I think it's right that there wasn't one introduced with End of Dragons. We've got a ton of other stuff to do. Yeah. The challenge mode of these new encounters is going to be that hardcore elite content for the raiders to kind of get them by until there's going to be another raid wing.
I think I definitely have to play it on the other side a little bit, because this is my job as a host, as a podcast hope. I hope podcaster, like host of podcasts, is important that I do this, because it's putting in that logical thought is an important thing. So and it adds conversation, to be honest. Not that we need to add conversation because we've got no time. But like I totally agree with what me and Rook were actually literally saying the same thing, but at the same time, like as a it's my desire is to have raids. Like, my desire has always been to add content to the game. My concern is adding content to the game that is inclusive for everyone, and that is an important thing for me to have. Like that, I mean, I'm not saying that everyone should be able to play all things, but I think raiding in Guild Wars 2 is very exclusive for a lot of people, and it takes a lot of work for us to put people in place where they feel like they can be in a raid and you know, do it in the first place. I've had first-hand experiences this over the last year of people who have literally never raided and will come in and be like, you know, I'm literally, this is like brought me to tears. I couldn't get involved in an experience because someone told me I sucked at DPS, or someone has told me I'm awful at this, or someone's, and you know, there's loads of stuff, personal things and stuff that goes along with it, and just the numbers of people that they know are even involved in raids in the first place, it seems to be very, very tiny. So what I hope they will do is bringing in raids, but bringing in a way which includes people that want to play raids. Like, it sounds like a really silly, simple thing, but Final Fantasy 14 does it very well. Like, Guild Wars 2, like, not Guild Wars 2, World of Warcraft even has a raid queue as well. I'm not saying Guild Wars 2 necessarily needs to do a raid queue, but like some version of the raid which is easier, like really, like people, there's been a conversation on Twitter about this morning where I got called out apparently, but I was talking about raids, and just making it more inclusive, because I feel like that's an experience where, and I know they're trying to do it with strikes, but I don't feel like it's working, which is why I think they're trying to maybe put like challenge modes and maybe make it this separate experience. But it is more of just like, I just want people to get in there and have a good solid experience, and I feel like there is a lot of toxicity and elitism in that part of the game that we see constantly, that we saw in the, you know, the Mighty Teapot raid tournaments. It was blatantly there. It was there in the chat. It was not, it was like a, and that's, and the competitiveness is awesome and the banter is cool, but there is underneath it, there's this very, very, there's this part of the community I don't enjoy.
I agree. I mean, Jeb, I think it would be
everyone,
smart for them long term to almost look at doing something. I mean, gosh, even if, I don't know how this would work, but even if they somehow took like the fractal scaling system or something and like did something there, or did versions of the raids where there was one that was more a story version, right? Where you could actually play through the story and you could like go in with a group and do it and have it be something that wouldn't necessarily be like, this is the raid, but the story version of the raid. And then this is, again, the other version. And I mean, of course, a lot of times people are coming from other MMOs, so they don't realize that in Guild Wars 2, there are actually several very beginner-friendly raid wings. And you have to kind of know that, because if you don't, you're like, it's not like the game leads you to be like, here are the easiest ones. Like, it doesn't do that. So people don't realize that it's actually much easier to just get in and start chipping away at certain bosses and learning and have your exotic set on and just get in there than it is in many other raids or like raid situations or end game in other MMOs. So if they did something where that narrative kind of rolled you in, where you could experience it, and you know, even in one of those main hubs, like here's the quest that starts you off and it puts you on this story, and then you get to the raid wing and then you can do the normal version, and then if they had something that was either like more of the actual raid version that had certain rewards from it, that would be the harder difficulty, or a scaling system or something kind of like how WoW has or whatever it was, I think that would be really beneficial. I think it'll also help a lot, and this is really crucial, if they have decided, hey, these strike missions have great potential, and if we integrate them into the actual like action of the narrative at key pivotal points, which again is sort of what 14 has done, then we can feature these fights in such a way that people will encounter them, realize what they are, go through the normal version, do it as a part of the story or whatever that is, if they decide to do something like that. And then we'll have this hard mode, this challenge mode that they can do if they'd like. And that, again, it's like building up the flow and chain of content so that you can like go through it. And things like a party finder or raid finder, don't always, I mean, it depends, right?
I think most of the time,
I don't think so either. Like in most MMOs, they are groups that are kind of privately put together. Like you looking for group or party finder, as it's known in 14 or whatever it is, to find a group that's planning on doing that at difficulty and agrees to what that means, right? But I do think there are ways they can roll this stuff more into the experience and narrative, and then, like you said, give different levels of difficulty. And I'm sorry I jumped on you. It's just that I have heard this rhetoric so much.
Yeah,
and
my reasons are very different. It's all about like that. It's just the nature of what I do and work, and like social justice and stuff like that really makes me think about inclusivity and like people being excluded from things, and it's a really big thing that I'm just like, there was a lot of it in chat as well talking about missing story, and I'm like, that's story, it's Guild Wars 2, it's a really big deal, like the more of a deal that maybe that, you know, a lot of people like, I mean, we know that they know that. I mean, Rift did a really, and I think I really harp on this a lot, Rift is probably the best game that I've seen deal with this. They make short versions, they make very tiny, easy bosses, like, you know, versions of these raids, and they give you all the story. They're not around anymore. That could be I don't know, but like, you know, that was a really solid way of doing it. Like, make the boss the same size, everything can go in there with a pie, you just trash it, you know. And okay, you know, maybe that it doesn't give you the rewards, it doesn't give you any of the same thing, it just gives you the story, and that's it. Because there is some good story in those raids and some good moments, and you know, you could do that with a pie with your friends, and you know, maybe you get a tiny smidgen of like what you might get, like, or even just get a couple of gold, I don't know. But then you'd be like, okay, well, that's like the introduction to this. It's definitely a lot of conversation about raids. I hope that they bring raids back in for the peeps who want it. I would love to have another raid. I have personally raided myself. I have the legendary PvE armor. I have been, you know, I raided a bit of Peachy as well back in the day. And we had a great laugh. It was good times. You know, Kroof has been with us on raids. Yeah, it was really awesome. I remember those moments very well. We're on our boss, Stamos, right now. But like, there is this big argument of who gets involved and how. And I've gotten to the point where, you know, we had someone with green armor who didn't have a glider coming into our raid, and they felt empowered with that experience, and they got to hang out with their friends. And, you know, we would just said to them by the end of the night, you know, here's some builds, here's some stuff you want to try. Maybe get your gliding mastery so we can actually do this with you. But, you know, that was just a cool experience. And that's all about finding your community, right? And like finding the people you want to play with. And they're going to accept you for your build and for the way you play and the style you play. And there are people in our guild, they don't give a fuck what they play. They're just playing, you know, whatever. Like any DPS, they're just playing with the stuff they enjoy. And we're trying to do the content. And we've done, you know, a wing and a bit now, and it's been fun. It's taken us a long time, but I think everyone's just there for the what it is, and you'll find your people in the end. It's just, how can we do that a little bit easier? And there are people out there who you can look up. You know, Bird of Chest does this weekly with their raids. We do it as well. Kroof joins in on all the things. I was played with Xandu last night. And there's just go into streams, do the things. I'm going to move us on before I. But is there anything else anyone wants to say? I don't want to say that. That's not the reason. I'm not having the last word. Sorry. There's loads of stuff to talk about.
There's so much.
And please, like, let me know if this is not okay. But yeah, I love your attitude towards it and your passion for this as well. I hope I didn't sound like a dick.
No, we were both, like you said, we were both like approaching it from different ways. I think I've just heard so many people recently, again, like I said, I caution everybody to like to not jump on these bandwagons, because I mean, they've said with so many other things like World versus World and these other modes, they're like, we're aware that there's a lot that needs to be done and should be done. And they're focusing on things that make certain types of content unique in Guild Wars 2. And raiding is something that is a huge selling point of so many MMOs on the market right now. It is a component of just what exists within the landscape of an MMO. So I truly don't believe that they have just abandoned them or don't care. And I guess the moment you started talking, Jeb, I was like, not this again. I just like felt it. I just felt it. It came on. But like, I totally get where you're coming from now. It's just one of those things where I'm like, they are clearly paying attention to this stuff. And I truly think they are coming up with ideas with what they want to do. But I think this step of releasing these strike missions with the challenge modes right off the bat is brilliant. I think those have a lot of potential, and I think it's so cool. And we just have to keep our eyes out for what they do. And if they decide to release more wings post expansion and get more on a, kind of pattern like many other MMOs, or what they decide to share with us about the future of that content, because there's no way they're just not paying attention to, you know what I mean? Like, this is something I'm sure they are talking about constantly. So I'm just curious to see what they do, and I hope they do give us more raid wings down the road, because I think it's a great hype for the game. It gives people a lot to do, and it's super fun content, especially if you can get into that bonus story. And world first stuff, always fun. There's just a lot that kind of centers around it, even if a small portion might consider themselves to be hardcore of the overall player base.
Okay. And also oh yeah, just to note, like, when I was talking about the Mighty Teapot raid thing, I was talking about like general, like just some of the stuff. I wasn't like, the event itself is awesome and I love it. I think it's great. I think sometimes there's these parts of these communities which we get a little bit accentuated, and elitism is something I really don't like in games. Play the game the way you want to play it. You want to play it on easy, flip and do that. If you want to play it on hard mode, play that. Don't give people crap for playing. Just don't yuck someone's yum, man, at the end of the day. And that goes for everything. You know what I mean? Like, just let them do what they want to do. Let them have their enjoyment. Your enjoyment is different from someone else's. Okay. One little thing as well with the encounters was they were talking about mobs on maps leveling up and gaining new abilities. Aurora Peach, did you hear about that? Looking at your dog, do they get abilities when they level up?
It's so cute. You
can't hear me, can you?
No.
Sorry, my dog is like sitting here, boof, 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 and I just know he's gonna he's gonna explode, and I'm just like waiting to
so cute.
my button, my finger on the mute button.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
It was just about creatures in the world leveling up and going through different ranks. There was something that they mentioned. I'm not sure if it was Cameron. Maybe it was talking about the. I don't know if he actually showed us. I think he showed us.
On more difficult encounters, the creatures getting actually new abilities rather than just their stats being buffed. Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason. There's no way that's not good.
Yeah, right.
That is all good.
It's cool.
Adds more life to the creatures and makes you pay more attention.
Evolving, right? So was that like an open world thing as well, or was it just?
It'll probably be open world and bosses. It'll be pretty much I hope that it's everything that has like a rank increase. It'll definitely breathe more life into the open world. But even from like boss encounters, like you can go in on a strike mission and it's a champion, and then you turn on the challenge mode and it's a legendary, and then it gets like 3 new abilities. So they could really go really crazy with this. And I wonder how much more work it actually is to implement new abilities for these creatures. But I can only say like great work. I can't wait to see how these encounters turn out.
I don't think there's much to say about it really, other than cool.
Yeah, I don't have much information. It's just much.
I think Proof covered it.
Yeah, it
sounds really cool. I'm honestly thinking this is a great idea. I think it's a really neat way to make those more memorable and give you something more to do as you learn the different maps and the entities on it.
Guild halls. There's a guild hall singular.
Yes.
Okay, can I confess? I forgot about guild halls 2 months before the announcement. And then I was like, oh yeah, guild halls exist. Is that just me? Am I the only one?
You forgot the guild halls.
I've been looking forward to the Canthan Guild Hall forever. Since they announced Cantha. It's like, we're getting a Canthan Guild Hall. It's gonna be beautiful. I'm living there forever.
Living in the guild hall forever.
Yes. And we can fish in the guild hall. Fish. Oh my god.
So that's where the peachy pies are gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I am very excited about this too. I mean, just it's nice to hear them say the words guild hall. I was like, guilds. I was just so excited. I mean, I think I was hoping a little bit that maybe we would get a bit of information about whether or not they're thinking about expanding all the content for guilds. But I say this with a bit of a caveat because I think this fishing is going to be content for guilds, right? So it's sort of one of those things where I think there's a lot more they could do with the guild and the guild halls and that system. But I also think they're kind of setting themselves up a bit for that with some of these things like the alliance systems and other things and fishing. And so it's something where I'm like, all right, I'll wait. But just hearing like details and seeing a little bit with the guild hall was really exciting. I also like that they talked about, a bit about acquiring that guild hall and things there and how, in the past, maybe it's been kind of difficult with like smaller parties or things like that to capture the guild hall. But this is going to be really tough for me because we got ours all settled and decorated and fully, mostly upgraded all the big, upgrades and everything. And I am now like, but the Canthem one though, I want to go to there. So it's going to be tough.
The arena is looking very snazzy. And I think that's probably my favorite feature in any of the guild halls, how the arena looks.
On the beach?
I've always imagined like a guild getting together, and doing like a giant guild PvP tournament, and like the winner gets like a bunch of mystic coins and gold or whatever. So aesthetically, it looks very nice.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's just so they did say some differences in this. I think they're going to make it more friendly to smaller guilds, like maybe that are kind of at parties. So they're going to make smaller encounters rather than like loads of mobs all over the shop. And so you're going to be versus these mini bosses around the map as you kind of have this expedition into the map as well. And I think I have a sigh.
I think too.
I have a sigh. The sigh is guild missions. Because there is still this like there's a guild hall and technically there's like an expedition / guild mission to get this like guild hall, and I'm just like, come on, man.
They did so much to implement guild missions and the guild hall and decorating and all of these different systems, guild upgrading in Heart of Thorns, and it was all wonderful. And they've just sat on it and haven't evolved it at all. No new guild missions, no new levels that you can. I mean, my guild's been upgraded fully for 4 years now, and how I remember how much fun it was to pool our resources as a guild and to unlock things and to unlock vendors and to unlock features and do all of these things. And we used to do guild missions together, and with the guild missions we're just bored now, and with Path of Fire I was like, ooh, maybe they're going to increase the level and I can relive that experience with my guild of, okay, we need more mystic coins, who has some extra mystic coins, and like searching around and asking everyone, do you have some extra, or we need more of hardwood, so let's go on an expedition together to go mine as a guild, and the potential to give more of that, to increase on that, build on that with Path of Fire was just ignored. There was a new guild hall, great, but that was it. You go and you capture the new guild hall, you replace all your decorations, and you're done with what the game gives you. Yes, there's infinite possibilities for what you can do in your hall with your own creativity and imagination. That's great. But as far as what the game gives us, reliving those Heart of Thorns days, I didn't get. So am I expecting them to give us more guild missions, give us more guild levels with End of Dragons? No, because they haven't said anything about it. And so far, like I said, with Path of Fire, they just kind of ignored it. I'm not expecting it, but if they did, I would be super, super excited.
Cool.
Yep. I think they could like integrate strike missions into that like guild expedition portal thing. There's so many things that they can like incorporate into it.
And raids and dungeons
they have all these
and
systems,
fractals.
and raids and fractals and
Absolutely
everything. I mean, there's a world versus world table, and I think with alliances, that will probably be such a great features for guilds. So if you're interested in really getting into a guild and doing competitive play, I think world versus world is going to be the place you want to go with your guild. I don't think really guilds are necessarily have a huge highlight for PvP unless you're doing tournaments, but world versus world seems to be where that is the place you want to be.
Get
It's
more
in the
rank.
name of the
Alliances.
game, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I know they got to do something with it. It feels so weird. It feels really strange that they haven't touched on it, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of it has just been that they don't want to like alienate people who aren't in guilds or stuff like that. But I mean, at the same time, it is a pretty massive function of the game. And like you were saying, Karuf, and like we've talked about in the podcast in the past, even if there was just some kind of like rotating, like this week guild missions, if you will, that were just
Yeah.
like a list of different content that you could complete for different rewards, or like if you and your guild all go in and rep your guild tag, then
Yeah.
you get special bonus stuff. Like there are so many things that they could do that I think would be fairly little effort. And again, this is speaking from the perspective of somebody who's not in the company, doesn't know how much effort it would actually take them. But from like my outside looking in, I'm like, I think they could just reuse a lot of stuff they already have in the game, even fishing stuff, even new features, you know?
I mean, fishing
have
would be
skilling
awesome.
tasks.
Like,
Like take
Jesus.
5 siege turtles out and blow up a thing, and then it could like check it off, and then that could be your guild mission done. Like they could do whatever they want, and it could still be something that would give additional fun things. Or gosh, I don't know what they'd want to put behind it, but I don't know. Black Lion Key might be kind of fun if you did enough of them to thresholds.
That'd be nice.
There's loads
Yeah.
of
They could
incentives.
even
It's
like
just
do
more stuff.
replayability for Path of Fire. I mean, bounties could have been a wonderful connection to the guild missions. Those already were kind of basically bounties. So it was always a wonder why they didn't add that in Path of Fire. They could add it now and retroactively create more reason to
Sure.
go to Path of Fire maps as well.
I mean, the skins
so
don't need to
with
be
this focus
like.
on replayability,
Yeah, exactly. And like the skins, like the guild skins are like they're okay, but they're just different kind of things to get, like to collect, and like getting the marks and stuff like that for them would have been fine. Like you say, like go out as a group and like spawn this bounty or whatever, like spawn it together, like go on the hunt for this thing, kill it together. It's the difficulty, leave it as it is or whatever, get the marks, get some achievements done, incorporate the guild activities into parts of the game where you need to get stuff done as a group with other players in the game and there might not be people doing it. How often do you get to a legendary boss like in the game and you're like, damn, there's no one else here doing this. This would have been cool.
Yeah.
Like once a week we go and kill some bounties because that's something we have to do. Even if it wasn't anything specific, but I feel like we could probably rattle on about this for a while. It is a shame. I think, like Kroof said, the guild in Guild Wars is probably going to be the alliances. This is where Guild Wars is really going to come in, where you select that
Long overdue.
alliance and sorry.
Long overdue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alliances.
Yeah. And it's going to revitalize World v World, which they have said now that is going to be the thing. So there's the guild in Guild Wars 2 after a few years been around. But like, I think that there was almost that incentive in PvP back when they had leaderboards, and there was the trying to get into Pro League and stuff where they had guild teams, and that was one thing I think they tried to put that in. Alliances feels more inclusive for more people as well, to be fair. Like definitely more people rolling in, like representing, you can imagine the Peachy party, Admiral Peachy getting on the field after their fishing battle, and then now they're just roaring across the field versus the
Peachy Alliance.
Yeah, versus the rest of the
Peachy
chess
Party
pieces.
Alliance.
I don't know, and like
the guild is going to be such a scourge on the landscape of the Guild Wars 2 community.
Can you
Just
imagine?
the new Palawa Joko.
Exactly. There's like Bird of Chess's flipping guild with weapons that basically blind the hell out of you, so you can't even
my God,
win.
The Sparkle Army.
Hold our
Like army.
radiance.
That's how you always win. You drop people's frames down to 10.
Yeah,
Easy.
That's me.
that's where
Wrecking the enemy's computer.
that's where standardized models.
GPUs.
We'll
Yeah.
make your GPU explode so much you don't even know where we are.
Get those standardized models found. Find out where that is in your game, and make sure that you have access to it. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that in a bit as well. Where are we? Yeah, Guildhall's cool. It's going to be a place. It's basically like moving house for me. Possibility of moving house. I think that it's very cool that it's in Camphor. Like this is a place where so many people look forward to doing it, and I think it's going to revitalize our guild, because our guild is kind of newly formed really, and it's been difficult to get people into a place of caring about upgrading it because you know there is nothing to do with it later on really other than unlocking some stuff, and you know it's not going to go further than that. And I feel like that even for me, it's a difficult thing to be like, why should I actually upgrade this in the first place? And hey ho, I know you care and I appreciate your work, reader. I do. But like, you know, I think there's an unconscious thought and feeling that it's not being worked on, so it's unfortunate, but I think it's, you know, it's a shame. We will help you more in the expansion. We're gonna get it done, I promise. Elite Specializations, let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Elite Specializations are heavily inspired by Camphor, is what they said. And they have broken a lot of rules with profession and elite specialization design. These are direct
the
quotes.
rules. I love it.
Breaking the law. Breaking
Breaking their own rules.
So
I didn't come here to play by the rules. I came here to break them.
thank you, Chris. I really feel like you're missing out on watching the videos of these podcasts if you're listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, or any other podcast website, because the makeup and also the look of and the reactions of the people who are involved in this show are always very, very unique and special. So
Griff, I really wish that they had just played that clip of you during the announcement.
Probably.
It's like, they were like elite specializations, and then it just cuts to that.
Me.
They should have.
Oh, Jesus. Right. They did release, so they did confirm. We obviously had the amazing image of the Mesmer confirmed as being a class elite specialization called. If I try and get the picture up on my screen, the Virtuoso, which is going to be a dagger wielding Mesmer. Dagger wielding Mesmer. So, how are we feeling about the? Who made that noise? Was that Kroof?
It's me.
Why are you saying that? Tell me.
Oh, it's the sad ending to the spear lovers and the people who are the spear rider dies. You know what? I did start out really hoping. I was really
I
hoping.
hope you don't ride a spear because you will die.
Unless you use it as like a broom.
It was a broomstick,
Yes,
I
unless
guess.
you use
But
it like a witch's broom.
Yes.
I'm talking about it not appropriate.
Thank you, bird of chess. Please. Honestly.
It's after dark now.
This is a family-friendly show on
really-
Jebro's channel, isn't it? I have not got the mature
You've
film.
sworn twice. Don't give me that.
I mean, Bird of Chess has been in many times and knows that I'm potentially lying. And you have to
She's a
and you have
perfect
to
angel.
you,
Maureen's
Peachy.
perfect daughter.
I'm not gonna.
I'm Maureen's
not gonna
perfect
crack.
angel.
I'm not gonna crack, but I was, everyone. I actually really
Peachy after
enjoyed.
dark side
that-
early.
Oh, it's 12 o'clock somewhere on Earth.
But not crude.
I think that it was really cool that they started out with the Virtuoso and the silhouette because it was
Yeah.
really ambiguous in terms of if it was a dagger or a spear. And I know everyone really liked spear, not everyone, but some people were really hyped up for spear, myself included. But I eventually was swayed to the dagger because I was like, it probably is a little bit more logical. But yeah, I love the artwork for this. Really, really do. Would you
Nothing
like me
else?
to continue?
I was like, was that it?
I'm not sure, but I think Peachy and I both got so distracted looking at how beautiful the art was. When I turned
Yes.
around, we were both just
Oh,
like
sorry.
What?
Oh, you were looking at
staring
the
straight
screen.
at it.
I mean,
Yeah, it's so
I like to have
pretty.
other things for people to look at because it does look good.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't know if we were giving our first impressions. I
But
would
so
like to
do we,
point out,
Jeb.
though,
Yeah.
there is a slight art change.
Yes.
In one of the art pieces, the Virtuoso is wearing a different glove. And,
Oh,
it's
really?
all a matter of taste. But I
Yes.
think I prefer the purple crystal
No.
gauntlet
But why?
over the white one. I don't know. It feels like it's more of a statement piece
No.
for an elite
Why is there a
specialization.
change? Why do you think that's different? Why is it
Oh,
different?
because there's a different art. If you go onto the pre-purchase page and you scroll down, there is a different glove that's a bit more sleek. It looks more like a magician's glove or like an orchestrator. It's a bit more proper, something more formal.
But why do you think it's? What do you? I'm trying to tease something out of you here. Why do you think?
Why do you think they changed it?
Why do you think there's an alternate version?
I mean, I think it's mostly because they just haven't landed on their art direction for the Virtuoso, or perhaps there
Keep
was an
going.
earlier iteration
Keep going.
of the class.
What-
Are you trying
okay,
to lead me
I'm
to an
trying
answer?
to lean something like I'm trying to lean everyone to something right now. So remember, each class, when each elite class comes into the game, it gets introduced into the expansion. What comes with that class? What comes with that spec?
A weapon and a armor piece.
Uh-huh. So what could this be potentially? Maybe.
Oh, this is the armor piece.
This could be the armor
Is
piece.
that? Oh! I thought that was like kind of like pretty much like
I was just making
It's
up
like, I
random
thought that
words.
was obvious, Jebro. So
Yeah.
I didn't think
I mean,
Dang it.
even looking at the purple gauntlet, I don't know. I mean, I looked at
It
that and
could be.
immediately said,
Again, remember,
I immediately said that is the elite specialization armor piece. Like it's such a statement piece on that character.
yeah, and they've,
So,
and
yeah,
they've taken
gloves.
it, and it wasn't there before, maybe because it obstructed too much of what was going on, maybe with the silhouette.
Oh, that's true.
Perhaps.
Yeah, that could be a thing.
So like,
Yeah,
it could be, but again, it could be nothing. It could just be the fact that they like changing gloves on the flipping drawer.
Could
Do you
be,
know what
who
I
knows?
mean?
When you weapon swap, you go into another wardrobe set for your gloves.
You just like take your gloves off and
Oh
you
my
like
God.
slap them at your enemy and then put a new pair on.
That's such a good idea. Imagine changing weapon sets and your whole outfit changes. That's the
God, could
next
you
level.
imagine
That is
if there
next
was-
level.
Awesome.
Can you imagine if there was like a duelist class where you literally just took your gloves off and like threw them down as some move? That'd be so good.
You're like-
No. Virtuoso.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's super cool. It's kind of subtle because I've heard a lot of people who have maybe felt a little bit conflicted about the class in the sense of two major things. One, that they didn't really feel like the musical element was strong enough, and two, that they didn't really feel like it was specifically Canthan inspired.
Okay.
But while I was talking more about it today, I actually got really more and more hyped about this because we do know that these blades seem to have some sort of affiliation with tonal magics or music, right? There's this idea of like harmony and dissonance depending on which ones you're using and what abilities you're using. The idea
call
that
it blade
blade
songs.
songs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like all of those things I love. And then today actually we were talking about it and I thought this was a really neat detail. And I have no idea if this has any bearing on anything. I believe it was seen that there were 5 daggers, right?
Yep.
Which would be in music you would have a Obi's gonna get it in the chat.
You're really digging down deeper there.
No, hold on. I'm trying to remember because my brain always shorts out whenever I need a specific word that I know but cannot seem to recall. It's a 5-note
Pentatonic scale.
a pentatonic scale. Thank you. So a 5-note scale, which is actually used in a lot of Eastern music. The pentatonic scale is specifically, 5 different tones that are oftentimes heard within various Far Eastern, or I should say, Eastern inspirations, and musical stylings, which is really interesting. And I'm wondering if they're going to like include that as a part of something to do with Cantha. I wonder if that was intentional. I wonder if it was just convenient to have the 5. I actually have no idea. And it's just interesting to think about, but I love the feel of it. I love the look of it. I think especially that like kind of shielding blade cloak is really cool. And I really like the way that they're just doing something different. I'm hoping that the daggers, like as they fly, have some kind of little tone that goes off in game or something. I don't know.
that
I
would
just
be
think it'd be
cool.
neat.
Could
That'd be a
turn
lovely
the
touch.
sound up actually. Let's see.
With Path of Fire, they also wanted to make the elite specs, their names and the ways they worked and their aesthetic very connected to the desert. And they did that, of course, more with some, like
They
the
tried
Scourge
to,
is very connected, to the
Yeah.
desert. It makes a lot of sense in their abilities. So they're just doing the same thing with Cantha. And that Eastern music, like you said, is one of them. And they were able to very closely tie that with the Mesmer, which kind of makes sense for the Mesmer. I can't wait to see the elite spec reveals is like one of my favorite things because it's so much and everybody who plays, each profession, is going to get super excited to see theirs, I can't wait till mine. I can't wait for mine to see what I get and to see what they can do and what they look like and what their skills look like. This is one of my like favorite things in the reveal. So I can't wait. Necro's next. And then we've got one more for the first beta weekend. There's going to be one more. So I can't wait. I hope that they continue to do the release, show us the silhouette, and then later, let us speculate and then later on show us what it is.
It's literally going to be in like a Lightbringers for each one, like a short version. I'm probably going to bring in specific people who play those classes, and get their thoughts and feelings on those things.
Does anyone main Mesmer here?
No.
I don't think
Everyone
so,
looks around.
actually. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge.
Actually, I do play a decent amount of Mesmer, but I wouldn't say I'm main Mesmer.
It's
One other
relevant
thing
enough
that I
into the
might
voice.
touch on
You play
for the
engineer,
virtuoso-
Kai. What are you talking about? Anyway, sorry.
I guess talking about like the themes of it, I will say it is a little muddied because the utility skills are
Okay.
called psionics, which give off like a sense of like psychic power, and then
That's
we
what
have the
that means,
blade
yeah.
songs and the daggers. So I think I don't know, it feels a little like you can't really nail down a theme they're really going for. I would really love to ask the developers how and why did they land on the name Virtuoso? Because I feel like there's a lot of mystery, but of course with the traits we could see more musical themes. So, not
It's
everything's revealed just yet.
It's
so.
weird. It's weird. It is a. It's a lot in one. I get what you mean, because even if you just Google psionic, there's a lot about it's like telepathy, it's mind suggestion, to do with the mind, which is what a mesmer is doing, right? It's phantasms, clones, tricking, and all this kind of stuff. And it feels like psionics are kind of like a messing with the mind of your enemy essentially, and like spawning these things which immobilize or do a lot of damage to the mind, to the player, that come out of nowhere basically. Especially that elite ability, which feels really, really nice. There is definitely some. I feel like when we get the traits as well, that's going to help tell the story of the elite specialization. It definitely helps pull it together for me, and most of the time for a lot of people. But I think Peachy, you said it very well as well. You're excited for it. I'm excited for it. Krufus, we're all excited for many things, but there is one thing that draws us all together, and that's the combat in the game, which is another reason why I feel like a lot of people do just love this game. The combat is very unique. It's very good, and elite specializations, like you can literally the rest. I feel like almost the rest of the and this is going to be a hot take. I feel like the rest of the expansion could be just awful, but like to the point where if these are, I'm not saying like listen, I know listen to the words. Okay, I'm talking.
We can't that immediately. Strike it from the docket.
Listen, I'm saying I feel like the expansion, even if it was, which it won't be, awful, you would just love it and be hyped and excited for it because of elite specializations, because they have that much influence. Obviously, it's not gonna be. I know that's not gonna be. But it is just it's just such a key part of the game which needs to be in there, and I'm excited and can't wait for that to be the thing. We just got messages, so I'm just checking that. What are you guys excited for Mesmer? What are you feeling about like the whole elite specialization thing? Are you enjoying the teasers? We're going to talk about Necro in a minute as well. What's going on? How do you feel? What's going on?
I like it. I mean, I think it's honestly, it was great to see a reveal and then get a tease for our next one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I mean, we are all thinking it's Necro, right? Necro with the gun. I mean, like,
yeah,
I've heard some people try to make an argument for Ranger, and I'm like, it feels so much more like Necro to me.
It's
like
the Asura character.
It's dark green.
Yeah.
It's dark green, not Ranger's light green.
You guys like when you look at when you have the different races representing the characters, and you've always got like there's the Ranger, which is the Silvari, you've got the human character, which is the Mesmer, you've got I think some classes are different. Norn for
warrior.
Is it warrior or guardian? Guardian's human, right? And then as those typical kind of I guess they could be tropes. I don't really know. There are a few different classes for engineer and guardian. Guardian is also there's an Asura as well, player character. But for the Necro, it's mostly the Asura. The Reaper one where he's got the hood. You've got I should have popped some of those out as well. I can't remember actually what the core Necro was.
All of the
Anyway,
from my knowledge, all of
sketches,
the
well.
like the lineup of the professions have all been the same except for Revenant. Revenant is like kind of the wild
Yeah.
card where they have different representations for the race, but all of the professions and their elite specializations have stayed the same in terms of their race representation. And especially for Asura, it's always been Necromancer.
And the color is
It's
a thing.
so
right?
interesting. It's so interesting they chose Asura for Necro for me. But I mean, death. But it's yeah, I mean, I think that looks really interesting. And honestly, I like that they're pacing them out. I think it gives us more time, like we kind of touched on already, to get to, you know, look at them all. And I'm excited to try out the new Mesmer class. I'm excited for Virtuoso with the elite spec there, because I kind of like that they did something that is very different, and I'm curious to see if there are little details or things that maybe don't even stand out to us right now, but that we'll get to explore. So maybe I'll dig more into my Mesmer. I have wanted to get more invested and play more, so I'm definitely feeling excited about it, and I can't wait to see what happens with Pew Pew Pistol Necro here.
Well,
I'm really
yeah, that's true.
excited for Virtuoso's main hand. I think it's actually really awesome that they are once
Yes.
again breaking the mold of having
Thank
a
you.
main hand that's 1200 range.
Mhm.
I know Spear, I was saying definitely like, we should get a Spear because we haven't had another long range weapon. The other elite specializations have been more melee focused. So then I was like, oh, main hand dagger, but made it 1200 range. That's kind of a nice like middle ground. And of course, breaking an expectation for what main hands usually are. So I'm really, really excited
Yeah.
about that.
The range is really good. Like, that's a really awesome aspect of this, and it gives you, even though it's definitely like an assassin-esque kind of class as well. And I think people are talking about utility and survivability. There's definitely like you're gonna have to wait for the traits for like I think there's distortion in one of the utilities, but even the heal is very much a damage. I think was quite heavily based on that. I'm just going to double check with their healing ability. So Psionic, heal yourself and throw 2 blades at your target. If the first target hits, you lose conditions. If the second blade hits, you gain Aegis and 1 additional random boon. Like, that heal is a really awesome heal. Like, that's not just like block and heal. That's like you want to get that heal off, because that's going to increase your survivability even further. It's not just about like the heal. It doesn't feel like it's going to be this big heal either. It's going to be reliant upon getting that second shot in. So
I don't
there's
know,
a little more
6,000 on a 20-second cooldown. That's pretty. That's
that
pretty
big.
nice.
It's not that
It's
big.
6,000.
I mean, like, well, like, I mean, it's
And
okay.
Aegis.
But that's what
and
I'm
another
talking. But that's what
supported
I'm
boon.
talking about, Kroof. Like, this getting the second hit on the thingy-majig, like getting the boon as well is a big like important part of getting that off. It's like, you know, using IED for like engineer. If you use that heal and you don't get below that damage threshold to get that spike of healing, like, it's just a complete waste. No, it's about using your heal as a utility to empower you as a player, like in PvP or whatever. It's awesome. I like it. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like that. Rather than just being like button push heal, I like that interactivity, which is there, which is cool. And I think, you know, what you said is very, very, very important to note, and that's part of their own breaking their rules. You know, that's a dagger. That's in every single class that in the game that has dagger is an up close and personal ability other than offhand, which might just drop a little bit of a mid-range like AoE bleed or whatever it is. I can't remember what it was in Necro. And that's awesome. And it acts, to me, that what I was saying earlier, you know, a throwing spear, if you wanted to say, you know, it's a throwing knife. I don't know. It kind of, it's there, I guess, but it looks interesting. Carl did a great job in this video. I love that they did a pre-recorded for that. He's always done such great work over there. The skills team are good people as well. So I'm really happy for them. I'm even more excited for the Necro, which I'm going to bring up in a second. So we're going to talk about that very briefly as well.
The Necromancer.
I'm excited about this because I play engineer and I love engineer, and I feel like Necro is getting some engineer stuff. I like some engineer oriented stuff. But who wants to talk first about this? What was the reaction to the kind of teaser image from anyone?
Fabulous hat.
Yeah, right. You did have a good hat. That's true. That's actually very
A
true.
very inspiring image.
Yeah. Is that it?
Obviously.
A beautiful
love
Wanderers image.
the two classes I play the most, I think, would be Guardian and Necromancer.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I was kind of excited for like a Minion Master spec. But then again, we have no further details on this other than the silhouette. So hey, you could throw elixirs down and like raise an undead zombie from all the juices like flowing down to the earth. Like they could go really crazy with this stuff because
Yeah.
it's Necromancer. But at least from the image, I didn't get like the classic summony demons and minions type vibe. It's definitely reading a bit more engineer, like a mesh of the two, which will be exciting for me because I don't play engineer too often. So
Yeah.
it'll allow me to kind of get more exposure to these themes and this like technological
Mhm.
elixir potion concoction things.
Cool. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think that about summarizes it, honestly. I mean, yeah, it's interesting that you see those little vials.
I'm going for
I
it in
mean,
a minute, don't worry.
It does feel as though it has a bit of that kind of, yeah, maybe chemist or witch doctor or like that sort of feel to it where
Alchemist,
you know,
yeah.
obviously we have this pistol and you've got these different flasks. I mean, I'd be really interested. The green to me ties in as well to the possible idea of something to do with the jade. I don't know if it could be like liquefied or
Absolutely.
which could be
Mhm.
a possibility. I mean, they could also maybe be spirits or something in the vials. I don't know, but it does seem like the one that's kind of on the front of the hat maybe is like not full, and then the ones at the hip are. So I don't know if you're like throwing them or, you know, that would be something with that. And then you have, or maybe you're loading them. It could also be that you load them into the pistol and then they fire off some kind of,
Different
you know,
bullets, yeah.
reagent reaction or something. I have no idea, but it looks interesting. It's definitely not the direction I thought they might go with Necromancer. I don't know if I was like particularly inspired personally from it. I don't know if it resonated 100% with like my themes that I was hoping for from Necromancer, but I do think the flare is real and I love that one eyeball that's just like smoking.
You mean
It
didn't
is,
want
isn't
the medium, the nice, good medium that we speculated? That's actually some great
Hey,
ideas.
I
that I would love to
speculated
see.
this as well. I was talking about this.
This is fair, but how does it feel to be right all the time, Jebro?
No, I wasn't right completely. I mean, we don't know. I have no idea.
Yes,
I
we have
want
more
to
to
know
go.
I want to know what Aurora Peachy thinks.
The vials, the orbs, the elixirs, whatever they may be. I love looking at the barrel of the pistol and seeing how it's very wide and big. Like I just see him popping those into the end of the gun and firing them off. Like
Oh,
it
yeah,
makes
like the
so much
top.
sense.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work with every skin in the game for sure. But also looking at the and I'm like just spitballing with this, but also looking at the new what is it, the dragon serpent skins, the pre-order skins. It's a triple barrel pistol and the openings are very wide. It's not like a small, like for a bullet, it's like for a cannonball or an orb like this, some kind of like if you could pop an elixir in the end of that and shoot it off.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
I definitely think it's going to involve projectile shooting them as projectiles with the pistol.
Okay, I'm about to go wild on this. Okay.
Oh no!
Do it.
I
Go
really
crazy.
like.
I'm
Go
not ready.
ham.
I
Go
will,
for
the
it.
ham sandwich is out. I really like the idea actually, Peachy, of the different kind of bullets. I think that's a wicked idea actually. I really like the idea of just having like different kind of ammo that you could slot into your weapon. I think that would be cool, because it could almost work like a kit. So my big utility thing for this class in thinking about what they're gonna have is gonna be kits. I think they're gonna get them. Or they're gonna get one kit. I think one kit, two kits. The fingers are on your mouth. But if they're going into grenades, they could go not necessarily grenades because I think that might be a bit cheeky. But like elixirs, there's a few things. So they could be elixirs on the side, as you can see. I can't really show you. I need to get a little app where you can just draw on things or put it into paint, you know, could do that. But I think that could be elixirs, in all honesty. I could think it could be like Aurora Peachy said. I think that would be sick if it was like some kind of new low ammo for your gun. That maybe is something to do with your utilities. It could be like, it could even be shooting elixirs or something like that. Kits, it could be a bunch of stuff. It's very much also like a lot of people have been talking to kind of like a witch hunter-esque kind of build, which is actually kind of a bit stealthy. And when you look at the smoke behind them, it kind of makes you think of some kind of assassin-y like build as well, or like some kind of, do you know what I mean? Like coming out of the smoke and, you know,
it would make sense to throw down an elixir and a cloud of smoke comes out and that stealths you.
Exactly.
Hold up.
Exactly.
I just discovered something thanks to Obsidian in the chat, which I don't know, but this is really interesting. So Obsidian actually suggested, do we think the hat is more like a witch hunter's hat, or could it be a Korean-inspired gat, which is, and I apologize if my pronunciation is wrong on this, which is, well, hold up though, because this is actually really cool. Which is a traditional type of hat often worn alongside hanbok, but they have that shape with like the brim and then the square on the top, and they have two sort of ornate tassels that hang down that tie under the chin, which we can see in the imagery.
Yeah.
So while doing some more preemptive research, some quick research, and again, this is something I literally just looked up right now, so I apologize if I'm speaking in a way that doesn't encompass the full mythology or folklore of this, or with other connotations or connections. But apparently there is sort of an equivalent within Korean mythology to the Grim Reaper, which is, and I'm again apologizing for pronunciation on this, the Josung Saja, which is, it actually has the exact same hat, at least in the imagery that I'm seeing right now, and it's a personification of death in Korean culture, which literally translates into afterlife messenger.
We'll show it on the stream.
Which is interesting.
I had chills. That is amazing.
This will probably be like the
this is what I
inspiration for the direction of the art.
Yes, this is what I just found. And we know that there are Korean influences in the expansion because we've seen hanbok, we've seen other like traditional clothing that is Korean and important to Korean culture. So the job of the Josung Saja, again, apologies on my pronunciation. I always really wanted to study Korean, actually. I never was able to. Is their duty is to guide the recently departed down the road to the afterlife. They're always in human form, personified wearing a black hanbok and traditional Korean black hat called gat. Even the modern take of Josung Saja in the drama Goblin, he wears a black hat, albeit a fedora rather than a gat. It lets you know that you are staring death in the face, which is really interesting.
Oh, wow.
What weapon? So that could be something to do with it, but is it more of a sword kind of?
I mean, they could re-envision it however they want it, right?
Of course.
So
They probably will.
if I look up more here, I mean, this to me looks like it could be a very clear possibility, which is really interesting. But I would want to do more actual, like, respectful research into this before I mean, again, this is just something that I found. So I'm sure there's probably much more.
Yeah, people know that you're not. I'm glad you said that. I appreciate it.
I just like to clarify because I have, you know what I mean? There's so many nuances and detail, particularly in East Asian culture, even in time period, in history. And I am not an expert on it.
Everything together is disrespectful.
Yes.
I get you. It's cool.
But there are some really incredible nuances and history and cultural inspirations. Yeah. Obi, that was awesome. Thank you for that tip and that thought, because I think you pretty much have unlocked it. It's okay, white girl. Thanks, Obi.
Thank you, Better Mercy, as well. Yeah, and that is a good combination. So it's definitely got those ties, even just from the hat. And they said that it's gonna be heavily Camphran themed as well, and that the theme, as we talked about the last couple of weeks, definitely Eastern, like Asian, like just like many different countries, but not like kind of, it's a difficult way to say that, but like there are influences for different countries in the game, specifically, and probably I would say that hat, that makes a lot of sense. The pistol and the
I don't see how it could be anything else now.
I mean, it's so legitimate. This is another thing that I found, again, from a source that I don't necessarily have verified. So again, just another quick little precursor on that.
It's
but
definitely
here
like...
I was going to say here. Oh no, here they also mentioned that sometimes it's considered that They wander areas where death is imminent, hospitals, villages plagued by sickness, or scenes of accidents. We talked a lot in previous speculation for elite specs that something like the corruption that Shiro brought to the land could be something that was drawn upon. It'd be interesting if maybe those vials had something to do with that, or but we already have so much damage over time, or Condi stuff, or toxin kind of.
This
I
might
can't
bring-
imagine, but it could have something to do with maybe that theme of, I guess maybe that's why they brought in maybe some of the alchemical, with the idea of them lingering around medical areas, or it could have something totally different to do with the lore of Guild Wars 2, specifically with that, like if we're considering the little flasks or potions to be a part of this, or why they might have a pistol in this particular re-envisioning.
Do we think they're gonna get a death shroud, or would these elixirs be the core profession mechanic?
Oh, I definitely think they're going to be the mechanic.
I think they needed a different
It's
mechanic.
Utility,
I don't think
utility or mechanic. I mean,
I don't think Death
difficult.
Shroud in like the core would really fit in a Canthan Necromancer.
they've changed
would be
Mesmer as
too
well.
weird.
They've changed
Right,
Mesmer
getting rid of
clothes
Mesmer
to
clones,
daggers.
like anything's possible
But
now.
it's still essentially that mechanic of spending something to get something. So like spending their clones to get like distortion or condition damage interruption, etc. But then the Scourge, like it's still got to have life force because it's got to fit in the line with the other traits and the other skills and abilities that they have. So it has to have life force, and it has to have a shroud of some kind. The shroud doesn't have to be necessarily a different, like, form. It can still be something, but the life force has to be in there somewhere as something, because of trait lines that already exist in the game, unless they change those, which I feel like they're changing a lot of the base. I feel like they're going to change a lot of the base stuff of a few classes. Actually, I feel like that's coming. I think they hinted it as well, and I actually think they hinted on it by accident. I don't know. They said something. They said core abilities. Like Ruby said something, and I was like, she said core, and I'm like, we've only been talking about elite specializations for this, and like they didn't talk about core stuff. So it could have been just a slip. I feel like there's going to be some core changes to the game, and that does happen a lot, like to near expansions as well. And I don't think we've had that. I thought we had that balance patch before the expansion, but I don't know if we have. So I'll have to wait and see. I like that. Yeah, OB, thank you, and good job on the research as well. It's good stuff. I'm kind of liking. I would love it to be a kit. I like kind of very. I think it's just because I like engineers, but like kits, I feel like is something which adds a lot to a class as well, because you can. It's like just equipping 5 different new abilities. But engineers, part of the engineer, and the reason why it doesn't have many weapons is because it's got kits. So then you'd be taking up that kind of benefit away from them. So that's maybe why it won't be. But elixirs are kind of fun. But again, not sure. I kind of like Aurora Peach's idea of loading these things into a gun, having different effects. That would be cool as well. So much. Just getting a pistol on it though, like it's completely that thing. It was like, wow, that is very random. But there's a lot to this potentially. Cool. I'm thinking now. Okay.
I know, that was amazing.
Like,
I can't imagine the inspiration would be anything other than that now that I've seen it, and it just looks so clearly similar.
We thought that in the past, and sometimes it's just not even come up into fruition, and we're just like, okay, and there's something completely different, but also like, and it could just be that's a hat, but it makes sense. It does make some sense for sure. Okay, so it's been a long day. I'm getting a bit tired. Necro. I've just written my new main in there for some reason. There was actually some talk about this on the Reddit forums as well, Guild Wars 2 Reddit, about a couple of years ago, about a pistol Necro, and there was an image as well, which I found was just quite cool. A little post. I think the image is from another game, but I put that in the document just in case you want to have a look and check that out. There's people swearing and being very Guild Wars 2 Reddit on there, so take that with pictures of. Okay, so they're going to release these sneak peeks, obviously, before the betas come out, which is very, very exciting. Do we think that do we think that there's going to be elementalists with this? Do we think it's going to be light classes in the first beta?
That's
think
what
that's
I
gonna
was
be a thing?
wondering. My guess would be it's not a guarantee that that Elementalist is going to be the last one. I honestly think that from a development standpoint, it's going to be the ones that they need to do the most work on,
Yeah.
or they're most unsure about, because then they have the most time to fix it
Okay.
from a development standpoint.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it would be weird if they didn't do all light armor. It would just feel kind of strange going like Mesmer, Necro, and then like Thief. I feel like if they're going to hit all three of these, they would do them in sets, considering they're doing 3 cycles of 3 individual ones and then doing a final 4. I would like to see Ellie actually, just to like get a feeling of all the light armor in terms of their balance interacting with each other first, to see which ones might be more powerful, which ones might be more underpowered, exploits and all that stuff. And then do that for the medium and heavy.
Yeah.
But of course, nothing has ever been confirmed about what the third one will be. So, it could be a just nice little surprise for another profession and another armor type.
I mean, the thing is that sometimes somebody just says something. I'm like, that's it. I don't really need. I mean, all I'm gonna do if I say anything is just say the same thing, add a few more words, and then maybe giggle at the end, and that's gonna be it.
Okay.
So
Makes sense. I think Peachy, you definitely. I feel like they've got a plan, but also I feel like like you're saying, they maybe need a bit more feedback. That could be a push for them to change that plan if that's something that's going to happen. Because I think they've definitely got more time than they expected maybe for the expansion now, especially because of COVID and everything else. I think COVID is a very good reason that many companies, whether or not they're even on track or not, can use to gain some kind of sympathy or empathy from their community or player base to extend the production of your game on things. Creativity. Take your time to make the stuff. We're gonna wait. We want the thing. That's good. Please do that. Okay, yes, I feel like that is gonna be a thing. Could be. Hopefully, we'll see. We're gonna get some elite specializations to try out. That's gonna be awesome. I cannot wait. Alliances. We've talked about alliances before. We know it's coming, but they did stress that it's going to be a part of. Where is the quote? This is the quote that I got from Josh, who was talking about. He's basically said a core pillar of the game, which we know, but like he really feels like, and Colin, and I feel like most of ArenaNet now, that they really want to bring this back as a main place. So they want to emphasize and just evolve and just improve, right? That's definitely something I got from the Ender Dragons announcement. And even with now, maybe we understand what that delay in alliances might have been about. Whether or not that was definitely it, I'm not sure. I feel like they announced alliances way too early, which is probably what a lot of people think about as well. And maybe they didn't know how they were gonna, where that was going to fit, and maybe it was meant to be, maybe alliances was meant to be a part of this expansion, and that's where it's going to fit the best, and that's where it's going to kind of sell the Guild Wars kind of name a little bit more, which I think is going to be really, really awesome. I put this, I'm gonna play it because I really want to, but there's just Colin's face ever since like 20 minutes into this video. He's just like loving what's going on in this stream. He is excited.
He's always loving what's going on in Guild Wars. That's why I love him, and I'm so happy he's back. Right?
I mean, I was like part of I was lucky enough to be part of Crucible, so I got that presence from them that I missed. So I've always still had the interaction with them, thankfully, but I always knew I was like, man, Guild Wars 2 misses this guy so much. It's so awesome to have him back, and let's just enjoy his excitement and nodding of the head as we continue to talk. But Crucible, I know, sad times. It was beautiful, wonderful game, way ahead of its time. But yeah, I mean, alliances or anything else that anyone wants to talk about alliances? Is there anything else you wanted to mention, maybe? Anyone have anything to add? I know World v World isn't everyone's main cup of tea here.
It'll give me a reason to go into World versus World. I think that was my big hang up, is that like not easily being able to play with all your friends because everyone's on different servers.
Indeed. This is like getting your allied guilds together, guilds that you might want to team up with, or getting put into the same kind of World v World bracket, or at least, you know, map and whatnot. And I think that's going to be great. I think it's going to be good times.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing but beneficial to the game, honestly, right? Like, this is something that's been asked for a long time, and they know that. And I think that just getting it, again, like we said, is going to revitalize a lot of different things and make it possible for a lot of different people to play together, as well as giving guilds their own, you know, new stuff that they can kind of specialize in, just to make it easier to coordinate and do alliances and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's great. There's not a ton more. I mean, we know it's coming out soon, but I think a lot of us have said a lot of good things about it because it really is just a positive change, and I'm really glad they're doing it before the expansion.
Wicked. Okay. Anyone want to say anything? That's it, really, isn't it? And they're going to do beta of it as well, which is even more important to remember.
Yes,
I mentioned
more
they're going to
betas.
have some more feedback and stuff, and maybe hopefully do the whole kind of go through how that even comes about, of like the process of getting guilds together, and actually that whole process of balance of guilds, numbers, all this kind of stuff, and population, which is going to be really, really important to talk about. They talked about alliances being really important, these two core things, as well as DX 9 to 11, and having a beta for that as well, like later this year before the expansion goes. I didn't catch that when I watched it. I rewatched it last night to get all my notes and research together, and I was like, a beta for DX 9 to 11? Like, that's a thing? I didn't nearly realize that was a thing.
Opt-in data as well.
Yeah, so it must be like, maybe it's a separate client, I'm going to assume?
That's
I don't
a good
know.
question,
Oh,
actually.
I didn't think of that.
I don't know.
Me neither.
I'm not really.
If it's a separate client, I don't know how many people would really be opting in for that.
Is it
'Cause I
something
feel
you can
that'd be a really
enable?
large download.
Does that mean you're re-downloading 45
Yeah.
gigabytes to test DirectX 11?
Optin
like a
64
I mean, I
bit.
knew it, but
I mean, there are games that, you know, Valheim and stuff, where you can go from, you can pick like, I think it's like Vulkan, different renderers and stuff like that with different options. I know that, but I don't know. I'm not great at this kind of stuff, unfortunately. So if anyone in the chat has any kinds of information, like what would that mean, like having a client load up and kind of, I'll probably sound really just not
no idea.
Okay, you got separate clients, separate servers for different games. I mean, we'll hear more about it as well, obviously, as time goes on. But that's just interesting, you know, how that's going to be massive for the game, in all honesty. That's quite big things coming in.
Huge.
And also an important thing, which I thought was very, very cool, that Colin said, which I thought was very, very much needed to be heard, because I feel like they've written it in, you know, blog posts and everything else, but they haven't come out and actually said voice-wise. We've not heard many people say it, I guess, as well. I think maybe we've heard Ruby saying it, and that's this.
As a final note from me, though this expansion is named End of Dragons, I want to be abundantly clear, this is not the end of Guild Wars 2. We view End of Dragons as the next big stepping stone for this franchise, and we think the best is yet to come. There is plenty more coming after End of Dragons and Guild Wars 2. We're not going to tell you about any of it today, but we're very excited for you all to get to check.
A very important part. Basically, Colin's saying that End of Dragons is not the end of Guild Wars 2, but in fact just a new beginning. Yes, indeed, like a rebirth. Again, reborn being a really big phrase of the entire thing. And I think we're going to see a lot of new different systems and a lot of things reimagined by just, you know, how many people have come in and come out of Arena now. I feel like ArenaNet is almost reborn with this rejuvenation of like people coming back. And just new people coming in as well. You've had loads of new people coming into different teams, you know, sound team as well, art team, you know, different teams being formed. Like we've got an encounters team, which I'm not sure if we knew about before. Maybe if we did, I'm just late to the party. But yeah, it just feels like there's this I don't know. It's this new energy. Can I borrow some? That would be great right now.
Focus
Renewed focus, yes.
to make a pun off of
You don't,
Ah.
yeah, and
skill.
very
right
well
there.
said as well by Reader Geek in the chat. You don't invest in your systems if you're ending. So like DirectX
right.
Yes.
9 to 11.
Right.
Very
I
good
really
point.
hope that they continue on a trend of expansions. I hope every 2 years or
Mm.
so we get another expansion, because
Yeah.
these really not only financially support ArenaNet, but get eyes on the game. Sometimes it can be difficult. Well, I feel like they found it a bit difficult getting people to feel excited or bringing new people in during the Living World season.
Yeah.
So I hope expansions, I hope that they see and they continue to see with End of Dragons that this is where they really shine.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see more from this universe.
Gonna be awesomeness. I'm excited and glad that he said that as well. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna shift
I
this
mean, even Ruby has been saying, like, you know, from the time it was released, there were statements like, this is not the end, right? And I think that we've seen them really go through, I mean, like, an incredible release, a great first expansion, maybe a period of time where they were really learning and figuring out what they could or couldn't do when the industry was hit so hard with a lot of things, having to cut staff like many other studios. And now to enter this future where they're like, we are definitely investing back into this game. We have this incredible talent that has gotten us this far. We have these people that we're bringing in. We believe in the vision of this. I mean, it's so incredibly hopeful, but like, it's also something where I think this game deserves it because it does do something that's different and bold. And that really, really, really allows players to play in the way that they can without like putting all of these different restrictions with payments and subscriptions and all kinds of stuff. The fact that they're out there modeling their MMO off of, you know, their original game and off of the things that they want and influences without being buried beneath the shadow of these other, you know, massive games in the MMO genre, while also doing that at so little cost to players. It's incredible. And I'm glad that they're investing in that and that they're looking forward because now is a big time for MMOs. We're seeing more people than ever, especially coming out of or during the pandemic, who are looking to connect in digital spaces. And we're seeing that these incredible stories are just taking off to new horizons. And I can't wait to see where Guild Wars 2 goes because there's just so much they can do. And it's so worth it for what it offers in this space. And with like the right vision, the right direction, and you know the right resources and support, this is going to be an incredible expansion. Like it's just going to be fantastic. And I think everything we've seen so far just continues to convince me of that as a really pivotal moment here for Guild Wars 2.
I love the chat's excitement about Elite Specializations as well because they're just having their own podcast. I'm like, I want to listen to that podcast as well. Like they're just talking about new Elite Specializations, Ritualist, and Revenant.
This is what this
Amazing.
rolling out
Yeah.
the announcements does is it gets people talking, it gets the community coming together and theorizing and guessing and creating conversation. We didn't get that with Path of Fire because everything was just kind of steamrolled out. And I think they were trying to prove that, hey, we can keep a really steady release cadence. And while that was great, you lost all of this hype, all of this discussion. The community is excited. And as the elite specs and more information, the other two masteries roll out, it's going to keep that discussion, keep that hype, keep Guild Wars 2 in people's minds. And so this going back to the, I keep calling it the Heart of Thorns marketing strategy, it's already working. So bravo on them for going back to that.
Yeah, completely.
And there's been tweets from the developers that they have quite literally, the direct quote was they only scratched the surface of this expansion. So it seems like there might be even other features we haven't even been
There's
hinted
two
at.
more masteries, you know.
There's two more masteries, but there could even be like a nice surprise down the road.
Yeah.
And the way that the developers themselves are talking about it really invigorates the community
Well,
and,
the
and us content
masteries-
creators to be like, this is something worth like covering and looking at.
Yeah, and just creating that content, right? I mean, you've already made a ton of stuff, Groove, to be fair. Like,
I have like
you
4 more
continue-
videos to
Yeah,
do. I
I've
have
got
them
loads.
lined up on my
I've even
backlog.
got stuff to do. Like I was like, people, I want to talk about PvE stuff. Like my YouTube channel is evolving into this place where I've had to evolve it from just PvP and basically talking about engineer to like getting to a PvE place, and that's difficult to do for the community I have there. But you know, it's definitely like giving me stuff to want to talk about in that way, which is cool, and it's only good. Like, you know, if you have that picture in Necro, I wonder how many videos have been created off of a image, which gives you all of this information, but is actually like blacked out almost completely. It's just like it's a silhouette, and it's like how many people, if every content creator made a video who was a partner, or even just reacted to it on a stream, that's a lot of people. That's like 50-60 people at least.
Quick plug. That video on my channel will be out right after the podcast.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
not lying. It will be.
Retweet it. We'll retweet it as well. Don't worry.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I mean, there's not a massive amount left to this. Some big stuff to talk about. There is the beta events which are coming up. Beta event 1 is August 17th to the 21st. So that is, I mean, are these all on? I'm just going to check if these are all on Tuesdays.
Now, do we think it's going to be a consistent? Yeah. They do the beta and they go right to the next ones. I would like to see it. I think someone made a date.
We've got the dates.
I think only for the first one, but the next ones.
It's a month between them. So like it's August. Yeah. It's August 17th to 21st, which is a Tuesday to a Saturday, and then it's September 21st to 25th. And then October 26th to 30th. So it's spaced out monthly. And then November 30th to December the 4th. There's, I think, going to be all and also Turtle. But also there's alliances. The DX9 to 11. Sorry, to 10 to 11. And then there is Turtle. I think I said Turtle.
And the Living World Seasons replay. So.
And the Living World is, yeah. So we've got a lot of content.
There's so many things to do in Guild Wars 2 right now. And looking forward to.
Yeah. And also there is, if you want to do the things, I've written random words everywhere. Oh wow, that link is broken. You can
not also, a broken link.
The link was very broken on the day because we didn't know it was going to happen. No one knew.
Oh yeah.
We didn't know. Yeah. Even as creators, like we didn't know this is. I don't think that's like there's nothing to break, is there? Because we didn't know.
That was a fun surprise.
It was like nobody knew other than ArenaNet that this would happen. Boom. Pre-purchasing the End of Dragons. You could do that right now. There's like it's not out till actually in conjunction with announcing a release month date. But like February 2022 is when you're going to be able to get your hands of an End of Dragons. And there's different packs there. I'm going to read them off because hey ho. But basically, so the standard gets you the game. It gets you a Flame Serpent weapon chest. It's the standard stuff. It's $30 actually, base expansion, which is pretty good. Since other games, I think it's really good. Normally about $45, right? I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I might want to confirm that for me if I'm wrong. A max level boost, a shared inventory slot. Max level boost, for example, in WoW costs extras a lot of the time, but comes with a higher edition of the game if you get it. But you can't get that for $30. Shared inventory slot as well is a really big addition. There's actually a lot of value just in that $30 one. Bloody hell, that's actually really decent. And you get the cape that's actually really good. That's actually ridiculously good. That is some great value there. What's the next one? I don't know. I'm just like, what? I didn't realize it was that much for the $30. I didn't even look at it.
What else can they add?
Identity repair kit, which is cool. The Camphor Raptor skin. Jade Dragon boat skiff skin. Additional character slot. Wow. Peachy's gonna love this.
Oh my god! No, my alt days are over.
Are you sure?
Ooh, I'm going full steam ahead.
Prodigy of Jade title, Mosaic cape, a good weapon chest in the game, and then additionally, don't forget the reason the ultimate is $80 is you're going to be able to get 4,000 gems for a significantly discounted price. Which, if you ever want to buy gems, you buy it when there's an expansion coming out, because this is one of the only times you're ever going to be able to get a gem discount, because they don't do it. They don't.
And I believe this expansion is 4,000 gems, and I'm pretty sure the previous ones were only 2,000.
No, they were 4,000.
I
think they were about the same.
Yeah.
I was like,
the value of 2,000. It would be like paying for 2,000 gems, but you're getting 4,000.
Someone had mentioned like 2000. I think it like retroactively like implanted a memory. I was like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
like
it's
it's-
2000.
yeah,
This
but
one's
it's-
Replaced your
4000.
memory.
It costs the same, yeah, essentially. So
Yeah,
that's probably
yeah.
where you got it from. And that's the addition on top of, you know, the other stuff you get. So that's why you're paying extra. But yeah, like pre-bonus. And also you can, I'm just going to switch back to our faces. With that, there is also the other packs you can get with Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, which are pretty cool. And I can't get back to it, but that's fine. Screw you then, fine. But you can buy it with, you know, Path of Fire, Heart of Thorns. You can get Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire still. There's loads of packs that they've put together, different options, which is really, really awesome. So if you've never had the game before and you want to get it, there's a pack for you there. If you're not sure about wanting to get involved with the latest expansion, you can go in with the older ones as well. Do it. Also, what else is going on? That is pretty much it. Oh yes, make sure that you please, when you go, have to do the spiel. Content creators, affiliates, partners with ArenaNet have their own specific purchase link. If you click on their link for the for pre-purchasing the expansion, wow, my words, it's been a long day.
A long
It
one.
really has. You can support them basically in what they do. You can help, you know, basically support what they do, support their channel, support their content, support their creation, support them, you know, monetarily. All these things. This is important things that really, really help people. And I know sometimes you think what you do just on your own doesn't support someone. It really, really does. 'Cause you mount that up, especially around expansion time for creators, it's a really, really important thing to do. So every single person in this chat, 138 people, which is a lot, I want to make sure that you go and either you go to their Twitter, you go to their Twitch, their YouTube. There is no excuse to not use one of these creators, or especially the people here, because they're so awesome. We'll use one of their links and buy the game. I'm not selling my own specifically. I have a link. You know where to get it. You know there's a command. You know there's all the things. But there's
Do not
other
forget.
people.
Jebro is a partner, so support him as well. Yay.
Yes, I am a partner, and you can support me if you want. But if you don't want to support me, you can support other people, and these 3 people are some of those people you should do it with. That's for sure. And there are many creators as well that I'm sure all of you would love to support. And if you've got alt accounts as well and you want to buy an alt version for them, you know, spread the love, go and do it, or use it on the same person, who cares? But make sure you use the link, because it does help a lot more than you realize. And that goes off when you are online as well. I will, in fact, you know what, if you're listening to this, I will include a link for each person. I know it might mean the description's quite long, and something, as long as I can fit it in, I will try to do that so you can find a place. But as everyone has said and told you, they will tell you at the end where you can find them. They will have links under their channels or in their YouTube description videos. I'm pretty sure everyone here will, and you can go and support them. And I would massively appreciate if you go and please make sure you follow all of these people as well. And check them out, because I watch them and I enjoy what they do, because otherwise they just wouldn't be here in the first place, because I don't want to do a show with people I'm not really that interested in. So you know, that would kind of suck. Why did you talk to those people for 4 hours, which is literally where we are right now? Oh yeah, I don't like them.
Heaving with anger
They're awful.
and frustration.
But there we go. I thought I'd just add that, and I hope that's okay that I kind of sold your links for you in a way, because I feel like
Thank
that's
you so much.
important.
Thanks, Jeb.
Yeah, you gotta do it, right? Otherwise, is there anything else anyone wants to add about that? Because I think that's kind of done. There isn't a website for the expansion up if you want to go and check it out. It kind of works. I'm pretty sure
You
it's
get
working
all the
okay.
pre-order stuff, the in-game stuff. You get all that right now. You don't have to wait. So you can rock
Yeah.
the new raptor mount and the cape and the weapons, all of that. I've already logged in and seen people with that. The raptor mount is amazing. Oh my gosh. And I'm like jealous now of everybody in game.
It's so beautiful.
I know, it's so amazing. So you get all that now. If you get the Ultimate Edition, you get your 4,000 gems. It might take up to 3 days, they said, to get you your
Yeah.
gems, but you will get them. You can spend them now, or you can save them for all the cool stuff that's coming for the expansion. But Yeah, you don't have to wait for all the in-game goodies.
I do like that as well. I like that back piece. It's actually pretty cool. Wasn't sure about it at first.
It looks nice. No, I love it.
Pretty.
The
I love
Raptors,
the
You
patterns.
have to
and
wear
things
that
on
while
it.
you're fishing.
Yeah, that's mandatory. It's the fishing outfit.
the Raptors very good.
Oh, the Raptor's
Gosh.
amazing.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That is nice.
It's so beautiful.
Fully dyeable. I've
nice.
seen it in like every color. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Gosh, I want a version of that also for Sky Scale. That would just be.
That would be cool.
Oh my god.
We kind
get
of
to ride
have
on,
one
like,
that's
Coonabang.
just a little bit. Oh my gosh, that'd be too good.
Oh,
And then you've got all the bits and bobs to get for if you're watching on screen. If you're not and you're hearing us gush about the flipping raptor skin and all the other things, again, you know, if you want to check out the video or go to the website and just check out all the things, you can do that. But do it through someone's link, an affiliate, a partner. Go and check them out. Also, there is the Skiffs skin, which looks pretty cool as well. I didn't put that image in, unfortunately, but there's many awesome things to come for February 2022, which is when the game's coming out. That is going to be it for the podcast, though, unless anyone has anything pressing that want to mention about your
I would not be a
dress.
collector if I didn't mention the Oreen statue.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Preach about our beautiful girl.
I'll find it.
It's gorgeous.
I'll find
It's
a
gorgeous.
picture.
It's wonderful. I've already pre-ordered, and I'm looking forward to January. They didn't do a physical edition. They didn't do a collector's edition, and I get it. I understand that's a lot of extra work and money and packaging and all of that stuff and marketing. So I get it, but they still
this
gave
is
us the loot. They still gave us the IRL
This is your
loot, and I
collector's-
appreciate it. Thank
This
you.
is the
Collector's
collect-
edition
yeah, I mean, this
statue.
is technically what games do, right? Like Elder Scrolls Online does this most of the time. They dodged one, but like this is what happens. But it's just not with it. They should have just done it. But like
They
you know,
should have done
they
it.
should have
Just
done
the base
it, to be
game.
fair.
For free.
I would
For
have loved it.
120.
I mean, I guess
Fiscally, that could be good.
that's true. To be fair, even like a lot of the recent games that still I've gotten like recent Final Fantasy 14 collector's editions or things, right? They literally just send you a box that has an empty CD case that's like redeem your online code that you already got, and then
But
you
still.
just get the stuff anyway. So yes, like I was hoping we would get an Noreen statue if we did get a collector's edition. So for me, I'm right there with you, PG. It like immediately went in the cart and I was like, this is what I wanted. I don't even care. This is the only thing. I get
You
the
know,
game. I got my girl. I'm
We
good.
can all go personally go to our local mail shops and just have a printed out logo of End of Dragons and put it in a nice box and just like
Yes.
have it plastic
Yes.
wrapped and be like, it's the official box.
I wonder if they're gonna give you a box or if it's just gonna be a brown box.
No.
Hopefully they give you like a proper thing.
It better be in a nice
Wow,
it better be in
okay.
nice packaging. Okay.
However, for the background
I
of
mean-
Peach's
I mean-
career.
Yeah, Peach does not collect anything, obviously.
Oh.
You do also get a code for an Oreen cape in game.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I didn't
You
even
do.
see that. What?
It's-
They're
as
calling
well.
it, but I don't know what this means, but they're calling it an Oreen logo cape. So you get an exclusive cape to wear in game that says that you paid $120 for a plastic statue.
Perfect.
And
I
I'm
feel
all for
it. Plastic?
validated.
I don't think we've seen any images of it, so it's a mystery of what the cape might look like.
Yes, I want to know so badly what the cape looks like.
Everyone's like, what? there's a thing.
I mean, obviously, I wish it was just like, again, dipped in sparkles and would complete my full commander set after I've gotten every single one of the Oreen legendaries.
See, the people who were on the fence about that Oreen statue, and then they said about the cloak and like it being a thing in the game, which is like an item you can own and no one else will have. People, that's gonna sell it for a lot of people. Oh yeah.
Be aware that it's only available for pre-order until August 20th.
Yes.
So you have
Get
less
in
than a
there.
month to pre-order it.
Mhm.
It comes out in January, but you have a very limited amount of time to pre-order. So
Also,
you want
what
it-
else was I gonna say?
get it.
Yeah, because the Oreen outfit,
laptop
you
died.
know, the Oreen outfit, that Oreen outfit is like flipping. Everyone is obsessed with that thing.
Oh my god,
Like,
so good.
Imagine like, well, this is gonna be like. Whew. Okay, is there anything else before we do a little bit of an outro and actually end this show?
Good.
Should I
Everyone
go
good?
eat a peanut butter sandwich or should I go get like a sushi?
Sushi.
Oh, sushi. We've been talking about Kyoto. What?
Right?
I mean, come on. And fishing? Go get some sushi.
And also, it's really hot there. You live in, like, Jesus, what are you doing?
I live in California, you know.
Yeah, sushi is like, yeah. I mean, just
I know.
go get sushi.
My chihuahua's like had to pee for the last hour.
Oh yeah, let's
He's
go.
like
Let's
staring
go.
at me like, please let me out.
Quick,
He's like, please free me from this prison.
You can always get up and go to the bathroom and do things. That's okay. I can't believe I haven't
God.
peed for 4 hours.
No.
That's
It's like
actually ridiculous.
school. Can I please use the restroom?
Yeah, of course. I go. I literally go and I'm
Mr.
hosting this.
Chebro, can I please go to the bathroom?
Yeah, you can. Just here's your form in case you get
Here's
caught.
your pass.
I guess you guys do that. It's America. Okay, awesome. Kroof, what do you do? Where do you do it? Thank you very much for coming on to the show. Where can people find you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kroof, spelled Kroof. I won a spelling bee. So I'm a YouTuber mostly. I do a lot of Guild Wars 2 stuff over on YouTube, and I am going pedal to the metal. I'm making so many videos, and if you happen to be a patron, those will be out early. But, you know, new video releases every day or so. And I'm also now doing some Twitch stuff Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Nice.
You know, and just vibing out, Twitter and Discord and all that. I trust you guys. You know what the internet stuff's like.
We know what the internet's like. That's true.
We've all been
better and
around
for worse.
media and content creators. Go find me everywhere.
Google Kroof or Kroof Gaming. Thank you very much. Always awesome to have you here. Legend. Bird of Chess. Where can we find you? What do you do? Etc. And such.
Yes. Hello, I'm Rook, aka Bird of Chess. I'm a variety MMO broadcaster with a focus on Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter at Bird of Chess. I don't play chess, but I play a lot of MMOs. So we have a great time. We love talking about games, and we're always happy to see you.
There you go. Awesomeness. Thank you very much for being here. Again, another legendary member of our podcast crew. Alright, Peachy is back once again, and I appreciate you being here very much. I was like, I really want to get.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. So like, you are awesome, and I miss your face.
You're awesome. I miss your face.
Peachy is awesome. This needs to go on the record.
It's
Agreed.
true.
Yeah.
I've known Maura Peachy for a long time during this like content creation ride, and
man.
it's awesome to see your friends like do so well and succeed and do all the things and go through life, and all the things change. It's the same with both of you. You know, it's awesome. And then when they can come back and enjoy the thing with you that you know you've been part of for so long, it's always an awesome experience. So I'm glad you're here. But you have to make sure you tell us where we can go and follow and subscribe and do all the things.
Absolutely. I am a longtime Guild Wars 2 content creator, and you can find me at. Is it over here? I think it's over. Yep.
Yeah,
no,
that's it.
it's over here.
No.
It's over. I think it's over here.
No, you were right.
It's over here. Okay, it's over here. There's a delay on the stream. Aurora
No.
Peachy. One word, everywhere. It's Twitch, YouTube. I stream at least 4 days a week on Twitch. Guild Wars 2 Tuesdays, every Tuesday at noon Eastern time. You can find me, and we're doing cool stuff. I'm going through the Seasons of the Dragons achievement right now, replaying the Living World, getting my token for my precursor. It's been so fun
Cool.
doing that. Guild Wars 2 videos on YouTube, as well as variety. I do a lot of RPGs and MMOs and playing through, oh my god, everything. Genshin Impact, Final Fantasy 14, Fire Emblem right now. I play everything. Hades.
Oh, nice.
Doing it all. So yeah, you can find my content there. I would like to just humble brag. On Twitter during the podcast, I kept looking over. I was very distracted because I just hit 10K followers on Twitter.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Congratulations.
So go give me more follows on Twitter. Make sure I stay there.
Is that
if I drop
because-
back under,
of
it's
the
gonna be like
LightBringers?
devastating.
Is that because of the LightBringers? I'm going to say that it's because of the LightBringers. I'm going to say that we
Totally,
contributed
yes.
to
Jebro,
that.
you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
the 10K on Twitter.
Yeah. It was
I'm
me.
gonna-
I'm in that celebration as well. Awesome. Good stuff. I'm totally taking
Yes,
that
thank
away
you,
from
Taz. We fangirl a lot. There's a lot of fangirling.
I'm joking.
I go
It's
off,
well deserved.
so, no.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
for having me here. You were my lucky charm, Jeb.
Yay.
Didn't even have to rub your head. Thank you. There.
And finally, I am Jebro. Jebro Unity is the, I don't know why. Unity is the guild. It's awesome. Our guild is across many places. One day I will just change it to Jebro though, because Joko is becoming our guild name and ethos across all of the things we do. Hilarious undeaf. Not sure about that, but we'll work on it. Okay, so we're gonna go, but definitely go and check out all my stuff. This show is normally on every 2 weeks. It's been a little bit of a ride recently with everything that's been going on. When we get elite specs coming out, and if they come out like very, very often, they might return to weekly. I'm going on a break now for a week from this because like it's a lot to plan and to just talk about every single week. I love doing it, but podcasts are a lot of like when there's something new, there's a lot of energy. If there's not something new, it takes a lot of time. And also just nice to have a bit of a break from a podcast sometimes. So 2 weeks, I would say we'll probably be back. We'll be talking about something. Hopefully it will be an elite spec reveal. It might be even the Necro one, hopefully, maybe. And we'll get some peeps back on to talk about it. Go and check me out as well, talking about awesomeness that's happening. There's loads of different stuff happening on the channel. We're getting loads more people coming in terms of the podcast. The podcast is getting a massive amount of excitement about it. Guild Wars 2 and other games we're kind of dipping into as well as of late. So we'll be checking out some New World when that comes out. And there might even be a podcast for that as well. And an MMO podcast. Oh, yeah, we're getting there. And also an MMORPG podcast, a very, very general one, which is in production. But I'm still trying to figure out when the hell I'm going to do it because time is apparently something which you don't have everything of. Otherwise, I want to thank my awesome guests who are legends, and I appreciate very much their time because it's been 4 hours. So if you have a road trip that you need to go on, I don't think you'll be able to listen to the whole show, but you might be able to listen to half of a show. And if it's longer than 4 hours, you can definitely listen to a ton of other shows. So go to anchor.fm and check out Jebra Unity and the rest of the shows that these awesome people have been a part of. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Have an amazing rest of your week, month, day, evening, and we'll see you next time on the LightBringers podcast. Talking about today, the preview of End of Dragons, the next Guild Wars 2 expansion. See you later, people.